Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to day 3 of the Victorian PGA Championships on this magnificent spring day on the glorious Mornington Peninsula. I'm Todd Woodbridge, and alongside of me in commentary this weekend is Ali Whitaker. And Ali, we are at the magnificent RACV Cape Schanck Resort, and it is beautiful, and we're all set for a fabulous weekend of golf.
How good is this down here? Honestly, this is where you want to be on this weekend, and you're spoilt for choice. You've got a championship golf course to walk around, you've got wineries in the area, and you've got that thing behind us, the resort and spa. I'm going there later. I don't know about you, but I mean, focus this week is all about the golf, and why shouldn't it be?
Well, it's a magnificent golf course. It's, in fact, not a long golf course, quite short off the tee for these pros, but it requires absolute precision.
Especially with those second shots. You know, you see a couple of people get a little shaky off the tee and you can rack up some big numbers around this layout. But if you are hitting the fairways and you're hitting the greens in the right part of the greens, that's really important for those birdie putts. So there are some low numbers up for grabs, but if you're a little tentative or it gets in your head a little bit, then you can also see some, say, exciting things happen come down the stretch, maybe.
Well, there were exciting things yesterday. Talk about low numbers. Fraser Droop, who's an overnight leader, shot a course record 62. It's a par 70 here, so 8 under, pretty good scoring.
Yeah, pretty good indeed. 2 eagles, 5 birdies, a bogey in there. And it's that kind of golf course that really does set up for you. If you're playing hot, you're going to have a lot of short clubs in and you can really take advantage of the layout. But great to see that 62 early in the week as well. What are we up for this weekend?
Well, let's take a look at the 36-hole leaderboard and how things stood after round 2. So we mentioned the overnight leader, Fraser Droop. He was tied, Ali, alongside the New Zealander, Ryan Chisnell, at 7 under. Ryan having a very good first day of a solid round as well, backing it up with 2 under on day 2.
I really think as though, I mean, Saturday we talk about moving day, but there is a real opportunity for someone to go and shoot another low number like Fraser did yesterday and really put themselves into the equation going into tomorrow. The scoring hasn't been exceptionally low and it really has kind of kept that kind of lower half of the field in play.
We have a look at page 2 here. Matt Miller, he's got to be a threat, hasn't he?
When is he not a threat?
Yeah.
He's the top 10 machine. I mean, if ever there was a safe place to look for, a top 10 or even really, I mean, a top 5 this year, he's been in stellar form, it would be the man from the ACT.
Big name there. Stephen Leaney at 2 under par. Playing some good golf. Of course, he's had some magnificent performances throughout his long and stellar career. Highlighted, of course, by a runner-up finish at the US Open to Jim Furyk.
Yeah, great to see a couple of kind of young guns, I guess, coming through. Jared Felton, we've had our eyes on him so far this season. He's kind of yet to break through, but a supremely talented young individual, and you can see the weather there.
Is that a cloud? No, it's a reflection. It's absolutely magnificent day. Currently 18 degrees, a max of 20 down here. A bit of wind around, and the thing around this course is there are parts or portions of the course you don't feel any breeze, and then others that you get above that tree line, and you better have put the right shape on your shot, or you can lose that ball.
Well, yeah, it's pretty easy to do. We saw a couple of those yesterday, and some out of bounds that have been marked pretty close to the fairways as well. So it's going to be interesting, in particular off the tee. Once you get that part of the equation done, it is all up for grabs with that second shot because it is a very scoreable golf course.
Let's get into some live golf action. We're going to head out to see Ben Ford. This is a birdie putt on the 9th green, up the hill, moving from his left to right. Doesn't quite get out after it though. Well, that was the overnight leaderboard, so let's take a look at how things stand as players have been out on course now for around about 7 holes, the leaders in Fraser Droop, and he has a 2-shot lead over Darren Beck, who's had a good start to the day, currently 3 under in his round. And there he is, Matt Miller. We said he'd be dangerous. He's already got his way into 2nd position.
We talk about a safe bet, but he genuinely is just so solid across the board. When you look at his stats, he's always, in that top 15 in terms of green in regulation. That's kind of where you want to be when you want to make money. You want to be giving yourself as many birdie putts as possible. The big fella, Aaron Pike, 2 under today. I mean, it's what I thought from this morning. Fraser Droop, he started with 2 birdies, so he wasn't too nervy on the first tee. Good to see from a young lad.
Yeah, I watched him out on the driving range, and he was he's a pretty loose player. Not much worries him, doesn't get too stressed, and he was flushing it out on the range. He looked really, really comfortable. New Zealanders are focused on page 1 of the leaderboard there. I wonder what that's got to do with anything to do with the conditions. Wind, they obviously get a bit of wind over across the seas. Page 2, Stephen Leaney into 10th, currently 2 under today. And a course that you would probably expect somebody like him with his experience and patience should play well on.
I think one of the key points of this weekend in particular is going to be when to be aggressive, when to hold back, in particular with some of the short par 4s that are out on the golf course. There's a lot of decision making to be made off the tee.
Interesting, Andre Lauti there, the young Victorian amateur, had 78 on the first day, came back with 5 under yesterday, and already again 6 under the card in round 3. So that's an exceptional performance from him in one of his rare showings in a pro event.
Yeah, very good performance from the young gun, part of the Victorian stateside.
And that's a beautiful shot there of the brand new RACV accommodations and clubhouse. Beautiful gym, indoor pool. It is a sensational venue. This is Daniel Nisbet with his second shot into 12. Controlled that one beautifully, giving himself a good birdie opportunity. And one of the interesting things about this course that we'll do our best to get to you and describe to you is the undulations. They're hard to pick up on some of the pitches, but a lot of these greens have very steep fall-off swales to the sides if you miss things. So getting up and down and recovery is hard if you miss your layup.
Well, this hole is a classic example of that as well. The option to kind of bomb it all the way down the fairway off the tee, but then this whole location tucked in that back section on 12 today is really hard to get to, especially with a short club. And then what that brings into play is, you know, that kind of down slope, spinny shot that comes up a ways short. It's not going to get all the way up that slope.
This is a shot of the 9th hole. It's a short par 4, the 9th. 359 metres off the tee, but a lot of irons off the tee for most of the players. And an interesting hole here, Ali, because this one has an internal out of bounds, which kind of is to make the players play the hole the way it was meant to and not bomb it over a corner.
No, they're stopping a little bit of the creativity, but they're also ruling out a little bit of the the injury issues.
Ryan Chisnell. He was tied for the overnight lead with Fraser Droop.
One good thing the players have going their way is that the wind is slightly off the left, and it is ever so slightly a dog leg from left to right. In a bit of a spot of bother. This is an awkward shot off a bit of a soft lie under that tree. And that was pretty nicely played. Too much trouble in front of the 9th green, but always good to be on the putting surface.
Just 24 years of age, Ryan Chisnell turned pro not that long ago, beginning of this year, in fact. So one of the things that he rates is, as he puts the putter under his arm, he says putting is the best part of his game. So you need to putt well around here. You've got to have good reads and good control of your speed. I guess you have to have that on any course, but in particular here, that's Fraser Droop there in picture in the lime green shirt. And if I can see correctly, Ali, that ball sitting in an awkward position in the front lip of that bunker.
Could be a bit of a tricky shot coming up. One good thing he does have going in his direction is the fact that it will at least be a full shot coming in.
Had good contact on that, and this should have a bit of spin. doesn't draw back as much as he would have liked. The 9th green, a new addition in terms of slightly redesigned, resodded in lovely condition. It's just recently been brought into play, but the ground staff here have done a magnificent job in the presentation.
Yeah, one of the things you expect from the new greens is that they might just bounce a little bit more because they don't have the thatch layer, the layer of dead leaves that generally cushions the ball a little bit when on that first bounce. As we head back to 12.
That was Stephen Leaney for a birdie.
Tough hole location there today. Truly, anything almost pin high left is in a whole heap of trouble. So you see a lot of players come up short. Can afford to use that little backstop behind, but
yeah, don't want to block it a little bit right there, though. That's a big, deep swale over there.
We're going to be saying that a lot about this
We
golf
will.
course. The aforementioned Jared Felton, WA boy. One of those players that you think that if he learns to kind of settle down and be okay with his golf on the golf course, he could really make strides and bounce. He's a bit of a tough jury on himself at times.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. It's about learning to control your emotions under stress and pressure, and sort of enjoy that. You know, he's putting himself up the top of leaderboards a lot, and he's starting to get used to being there. And I think he, for me, looks like one of those young players that the more he keeps doing that, the more he knocks on the door, he'll be comfortable. And each step you go, you sort of have to readjust. But he's going to keep moving forward in that space. He's just too good a player, I think, for that. He's going about it the right way. Format here for the Victorian PGA has been played as a Pro-Am event. You see some of the amateurs that have qualified for the final 2 days. So the tournament started up with every pro, with some amateurs, some big names there. Sam Groth, one of my sports peers, is
if I'm teeing it up as an amateur, I want that fella right now. Danny Nisbet, currently leading the order of merit. Most informed player. Mind you, a bit of wisdom coming from Stephen Leaney wouldn't be such a bad thing either.
Just recently turned 49, and that makes you feel old when you've been travelling the world watching him as I have for most of his career. And I've noticed he's gone and donned the glasses out on course as well now, which is also another sign that we're an equal age, because I've got to have them in the booth.
Is it because they don't make contact lenses thick enough? Is that why? You wouldn't be able to blink. Beautiful resort in the background. Second shot for Adam Burdett. That's going to find the slope though, and you can watch this. There's so many shots around the greens this week just filter away from some of the hole locations. There are a few that will help, and they're in the almost the bottom of the filter, if you will, but that certainly isn't one of them on 10.
Well, 10's such a short hole. It's all about precision. It's only 295 metres, which is obviously drivable, but if you miss your drive, you're in all sorts of bother, and then you need to be accurate with your short wedges coming into that hole as well.
It's going to be a tap-in for Ryan Chisnell. Not too bad given where he was from the tee. Could have been right up against the tree trunk, but ended up being able to get a full swing at it. I'm really looking forward to seeing Fraser play some golf today. He hasn't been a feature too often in our PGA TV coverage. I think that's the whole point of events like these, is to see some of that next generation coming through, some of those people that maybe took a different path as well.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say the different path, because you must have like handballed that to me beautifully, because he has come through the systems in a different way. He was in the in the high performance systems when he was a young player, came down from Yarrawonga into the big smoke of Melbourne. It just did not suit him. It didn't suit his personality, didn't suit his style. He really struggled. He went back home, almost thought about actually throwing golf away, but his dad being the pro, he's on his back today, Evan, at Yarrawonga, sort of they got him settled again, got him back in, and he's doing his traineeship at Yarrawonga with his dad. And his dad said, you know, just take your time, and they got him back in, and he's playing some seriously good golf.
Yeah, happy to see that he didn't toss the game in, really.
And there is the leaderboard. A couple of changes at the top. Aaron Pike gone to 3 under, 1 shot behind Fraser Drew.
Hi, I'm Ernie Els and you're watching PGA TV.
I'm sending this next one.
Stop it! Look at the size of him too. How'd you do that?
Like, how do you get that distance out of that body?
When you hit a pure shot, the tailor-made ball is going to react to what you do more than what a pro would. Probably told you about 1,000 times. You got to try the ball.
My favourite thing about golf that it's fun to play and I like to play with other people.
With my golf and what they're doing, you know, it's huge for junior golfers like Isaac.
On the tee, one of the stars of our My Golf program, Zoe Manton. At her age, I think we're going to see a star in the making. Yeah, great shot.
My advice to the My Golf kids would probably be always have fun. Just play and just have fun.
It's good to see so many junior players playing golf. There's a lot of competition between you guys, which is great.
Welcome back to the Victorian PGA. That was Burdett for birdie up that slope. A good lag putt from the position that he was in. And a beautiful afternoon here down on the Mornington Peninsula, and that is the clubhouse accommodation at the RACV resort here at Cape Schanck. And so much to see and do. If golf isn't your thing, but you're out with your family or it's a little getaway from the big smoke, you can come down here, stay at this magnificent accommodation, go out to the wineries, head down to beautiful walks along Cape Schanck, go down to the back beach at Rye. You can go horse riding too if you like, Gunnamulla. I know that you're into the horse riding, Ali.
I have done that, actually. I've done the horse ride along the beach, and it was certainly a memorable part of my childhood.
And then after that, you can head down to the wineries and,
That's it.
and sample the cold climate Chardonnay that I know you like so much.
Yeah. Don't do it the other way around. Don't go to the wineries and then go horse riding. I do not recommend that in the least. Second shot here for Darren Beck. Driven it all the way down the slope. But see, that's the trouble. It is genuinely a really hard shot unless you have almost, you know, a shot where you take more club, grip down and just have a 70% swing at it. Try and get the ball to release up that slope, but
well, it's a good shot just there. You can see they're down on the lower level. I wonder whether you're not better actually laying it back to the top level of that fairway and having a full flat shot in, because there's a lot of undulations and side slopes with these wedges as you come in from down there. You can get some dodgy lies I don't think that was a dodgy lie. I think that was one of our amateurs playing it a little differently.
It's working out okay right now. Look at this. He's showing the big boys how it's done.
That's fantastic.
That's worth a clap.
Maybe he did mean it.
He
Maybe it
kept it
wasn't one
low.
of the amateurs.
Kept it low under the wind. It was all in the play. But it's good fun out here. And I think having the Pro-Am format sometimes just keeps the players a little bit looser when they have that person to kind of riff off a little bit.
That was a tap in to finish off the par for Adam Burdett. Interesting story. We're talking about Fraser Droop and the traineeship that he's doing at Yarrawonga. Well, Adam just finished at the same club under Evan Droop as well. So something in the waters that's working well in Yarrawonga.
Well, I think we see that time and time again when two players that are kind of up and coming, they just start to push back and forth a little bit against each other, and it really can create some unbelievable chemistry and some really good scoring as well.
Talking about good scoring, done a little bit of research on Adam, and his lowest round was a 59 at his home course up there. So, geez, he played well that day.
Was that on the front nine or the back nine? That surely 18 holes, 59. That's something dreams are made of.
We're going to call him Mr. 59 for the rest of the broadcast.
I'm sure he'd love that. As we look back, this is the view from behind the 10th green. Both of the nines go back towards the clubhouse, as you'd expect from a resort layout. And it truly is a really beautiful championship golf course.
See, one of the things that stands out when you go around the course alley from a perspective is the visual that the shot gives you. Sometimes very intimidating shots. As we take a look at the 10th hole, talk us through it.
Yeah, really just a short par 4, 295 metres. We can afford to kind of go down this right half of the fairway, lay up short of these bunkers over on the right-hand side. They're about 236 to get into. And then up to the green where the hole location is, up over on that right-hand side today, but that huge bunker guarding it.
And that's the visual that I was talking about. In fact, you've got a bit of space on the green, but when you're actually laying down that lower portion of that fairway, it's an intimidating shot, even with just a wedge.
You just have to think about it. And I think when you pick numbers, you really need to commit to whether you are trying to hit it past the number and bring it back, or hit the shot that releases forward in a lot of these circumstances, particularly on the 10th, because that goes all the way into your shot selection.
What about the wind around here too? Because when we went around the course earlier this morning, there were portions of the course we didn't feel any wind at all. And the parts of the course just wrap around the hill here at the top of Cape Schanck. And some sides of it, you get the wind quite heavily, and other sides it's protected. And you've got to put that into the equation as to with the difference in elevation.
Well, that's it. I mean, where you're standing, you might not even feel the wind, and it could be blowing an absolute Terry Gale, as they say, up where the ball's going. But the person that walks away with the trophy on Sunday will have picked the right golf clubs, I think.
That's a great piece and shot of that visual that we were talking about. And, is that going to spin off?
That's going to feed all the way back down.
That was where the pin was yesterday. Would have been good on day 2.
Going to be a tough 2-putt from there as well. So wedge in hand, it's a classic example of what you might get here at the RACV Cape Schanck Golf Course.
Test the patience of the players, doesn't it? Because you get a lot of opportunities. You only need one small miss here and you're looking bogey.
This should filter back down. There is a little bit of a slope to play with. Getting better.
Will it go in? Wow.
Very nice.
Sensational. You'd almost think a tap-in birdie for Fraser Droop.
He's run up to have a look. Why wouldn't you? If it's going in, he wants to watch it drop. But it's going to be just a little 3.
He's an interesting character because we talked about him being fairly loose. He has the ability to, obviously he did it yesterday, but it's not a rare feat for him to shoot a low score. He's a real momentum player. Darren Beck back at the 12th, putting up that hill to the back pin.
And it really is almost a waist-high elevation change. That's a risky run when you're not on the correct section. We've been discussing the greens as we've been driving around this week, and there's a lot of subtle break, in particular within 2 feet of the hole. Bit of a hanging lie here for Rick Kulaks. Not necessarily a bad thing when you're trying to stop it, but he doesn't look too happy, and that is why. If you can find that black back plateau, then generally the slopes help you, but not so much there.
Playing in that group alongside Kulaks, Chisnell and Droop today, who are obviously in the pros, is Lucas Michel. We may see a lot of his shots close to the pin, because I think that was his other one tight in there with Fraser Droop. He's a very fine amateur, as we see that missed putt back down the slope from Darren Beck. But Lucas, Victorian state team member and class player in his own right, just not turned pro at this point. It's not the amateurs that we're used to seeing hitting the low runners up to 6 feet.
Well, what a great experience for him as well, though, playing in the final group, but doing it where, you know, your living isn't up for grabs. It's a great introduction to the game, and, you know, it's a huge credit to everyone on the ISPS Honda PGA Tour of Australasia that they do actually really encourage that next generation to go and get that kind of experience. So it will be a drop shot there for Darren Beck. He'll head back to 5 under total. Currently 3 off the pace. Here it goes for Harry Bateman.
And Ali, you're talking about next generation, some great results over the last few days out of Buenos Aires for 2 young Australians winning gold in the Youth Olympics. Carl Phillips as the young man, and Grace Kim. Awesome result.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't believe it, because I certainly was. I was checking out Grace's updates, and the opening ceremony over there looked absolutely unbelievable. It was in the main street. Apparently about 200,000 people lined the little plaza, if you will, to go and watch it. It looked absolutely stunning, and I'm sure everyone is really excited about that result and what it means for kind of that next generation coming through.
Yeah, it's really sensational. Great for we've got plenty of, you know, great males. We've had Kari out there, but get another young female to be following in the footsteps of Minjee Lee, Suo, and Hannah Green out there on the LPGA Tour. It's very special. So this is a tough lag putt back up the slope.
It's almost hard to hit it hard enough when you're that far away, and it is genuinely so vastly uphill in the second part of that putt. Well, this looks pretty crafty. Needs to go.
Let's say just hangs on. That was Matt Miller. You're giving me a signal there as if to say, do you think that was his drive, or was that potentially he's had to chip it back down into there?
I think potentially today he could get there, just because of the wind direction being a little bit out of the east predominantly.
It's a change of wind direction for the players after the first 2 rounds. It blew heavily on Thursday down here, up to 40 kilometres an hour. So some tougher scores out there. Oh, good roll.
Super solid putt there. If you can walk away, anything outside really, I'd say 20 to 25 feet, if you can get it inside that 2-foot circle, you'll be absolutely laughing come Sunday, because that really is where a lot of the pressure comes in. It's not usually, you know, you think about the second shot trying to hit the right section of the green, but the bailouts are in different sections of the green where you may end up with, say, a 40, 50, even 60-foot putt.
Simon Hawkes, first time we've seen him today. Of course, the Victorian Open winner earlier this year. And that's a fine shot too, beautifully controlled ball flight there. That wind starting to pick up a little there on the 12th. And and a good two-putt well holed out there. Just enough to keep the knees knocking there for Ryan Chisnell. Some fabulous golf courses in this area of the Mornington Peninsula. We're neighbours here at Cape Schanck with the National Golf Club, and when you look at that 12th hole, very much resembles some of the old course that they have there. It's just on the other side of the hill, and you talk about the National, but of course you've got Moona Links, you've got St Andrews Beach, you've got the Dunes, Eagle Ridge. Oh, that was an all-round good. I gave him that, and it's like it did the loop.
Whew.
You can smile now, Fraser.
That's it. Got away with that one, maybe.
But just to finish that conversation, what a magnificent golfing destination it is. If you like your golf, as I do, often head to Europe in the middle of the year and talk about going to Scotland and Ireland, but this is equally as good as anything you get when you travel away in this portion of Victoria and Australia.
We were catching up with James Nitties earlier this week, and he said that Victoria, in particular, even down the peninsula, we talk about the Sandbelt so much, but there's a selection of golf courses down this way that might be one of the best congregations of layouts in the world. It really is a true destination. And as I was driving down, I actually looked up on a hill and saw a house, and I went, oh, that's a great looking house, but gosh, it'd be a good place to build a golf course. And then sure enough, I looked further down the back and the National was there, and then Cape Schank's maybe a kilometre down the road. So someone had the same idea that I did.
Well, that's the beauty, though, of what the RACV have done here at Cape Schanck, is they've provided first-class accommodation. And the majority of accommodation down here has been holiday accommodation, sort of small rentals and that type of thing down by the beaches of Portsea, Sorrento. And they've now given that market for people to come down and stay at a true five-star resort.
Have you eaten here before at the resort?
Not
I'm putting you on the spot.
No, but I've seen the menu at the restaurant.
It is stunning. I have to say, they had, last time I was here, they actually had a 3-course meal for $75, I think, and it was one of the best meals I've had in Melbourne, which is
a big call.
A restaurant capital of Australia, and I have to say it would certainly keep me coming back.
This is a birdie putt for Matt Miller. Slightly up the slope, and he hasn't hit it.
Well, he got lucky leaving it halfway up that slope. Really, anyone that's walking away with a 4 on 12 today with that whole location is going to be pretty happy about it.
Opened with a round of 67, followed up by an even par round of 70 in round 2. I beg your pardon, it was the other way round, 70 in round 1, 67 in round 2. Birdies today on the 6th and the 9th. And backed it up with a birdie on 10 as well.
How about Simon Hawkes this year? He's got that swagger, and we've talked about it before, but he's a streaky kind of player. And one of the only really good looks at birdie we've seen on 12 from past the pin.
I mean, you mentioned the putting, how we were talking about putting. There was an example there where there isn't a putt that seems around a lot of these holes that you could say, if I hit it firm and straight, I'm going to hole it out. You really have to have the line and pace to match all the time. You can't take the break out of these holes. So, and that was an example there where players are just trying to read the putts as well as they can, but at times over or under reading them. So we're going to take a look at the leaderboard, and Aaron Pike has joined the top of the leaderboard, 4 under today with a Fraser Droop.
Well, Fraser did in fact just tap his in for birdie on 10, so that's maybe a little bit behind, but he does have a 1-shot lead at 9 under par for the Victorian boy, Fraser Droop.
Golf Club, and you're watching PGA TV.
Life can be mighty monotonous. Everything's still so doggone humdrum, stuck in a rock.
We designed Twist Face to deliver straight distance to every golfer. But what we didn't count on was making every course marshal feel somewhat underutilized. Sorry, it's gonna be a long season. Twist Face, only in the M3 and M4 drivers from TaylorMade.
I'm a big left to right golfer. I chase the ball more than Tyler. He's more down the fairway than I am, and I enjoy the red dirt where Tyler enjoys the green grass. It's a beautiful course, and it's accessible to everybody because it's a public course, and especially Kalgoorlie, the kids can play for free, and they just love the game, so why not come out and play?
Looking to reduce the cost of playing golf or need a handicap? The RACV Golf membership offers 5 free and 10 half-price rounds at our 5 golf courses valued at up to $748. Plus, discounts at many partner facilities including driving ranges. Set up and maintain your golf handicap, allowing you to play in official competitions. Submit all your social scorecards at the click of a button. And play in exclusive RACV Golf member events designed to meet the needs of all golfers, new and experienced. RACV members can also enjoy further discounts at RACV resorts, attraction tickets, and even the cinema. Join RACV Golf membership today and play more golf for less.
Welcome back to the Victorian PGA Championships on what, look at that, magnificent afternoon it is here on the Mornington Peninsula. If you're just joining us, Todd Woodbridge alongside Ali Whittaker in the commentary booth, and we're at the RACV Cape Schanck Resort, just what, about 88 kilometres from Melbourne, about an hour's drive, little over an hour's drive to get here, and what a beautiful destination and magnificent golf course they've got set up for us here this weekend, Ali.
It's an easy drive too. That's what I love about it. You crank on cruise control,
yes, put the music
get
up,
the radio going, and then you just forget about life for a little while and you head away from the busyness of the city. And you come down here, and the cool thing is, even the drive into this area, you feel like you're going somewhere special. Like you feel like
you are.
Well, I couldn't agree more. But you drive past, you know, farmers markets and the people on the side of the streets, you know, selling their produce, and then you see these beautiful estates, and it's tree lined. I mean, it's the whole experience. But you just do really feel like you're getting away from it.
You do. And what about the golf course? Because it's a special golf course. We've talked about it's not particularly long, a lot of irons off tees. And as we head into the back 9 here on round 3, there's a few key holes that we're going to be coming up watching. We've just seen the 12th play out, but the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, there's some opportunity there for players to pick strokes up, but there's also danger lurking.
Well, there is, and I think anytime you have 5 par 3s on a golf course, that becomes a factor, because usually when you have 5 par 3s, it's at the loss of par 5s, which is exactly the case here. So there's only 3 par 5s on this golf course, but they kind of make up for it with some of the short par 4s, and we're going to take a little bit of a look at the hole 15th.
Yeah, now this is a danger hole off the tee.
It's going to be absolutely crucial. It really sets up off that left side. Everything runs over towards that
And that is a
path.
steep slope, isn't it, right there? Is that sandy waste area there?
Yeah, you really do need to just think about even maybe laying back off the tee, guaranteeing yourself something on the fairway so that you can get it up by the green, because anything can happen with that tee shot.
So for you're the professional, and I'm leading the professional here in the commentary booth, but I was looking at that picture there, and the thing is, if you have a bad hole right there, you could see the beautiful vistas of Port Phillip Bay and down into the peninsula. The magnificent beauty of this course as well, for when the frustrations of golf come over you.
Well, we were taking photos out on the what was it, 14th tee, the par 3 before that 15th hole, and it truly is stunning. Like, it is part of the reason why this is one of the best coastlines in Australia. You can see the sets of waves rolling in from that tee shot as well, and it goes all the way down to 15. It's absolutely beautiful, but you just feel lucky to be in this part of the world.
Well, we'll be at the 15th hole shortly in our coverage. Let's go back to the 12th. This is Aaron Pike. We saw that he had tied momentarily Fraser Droop at the top of the leaderboard. This is his approach there into 12. And where did that end up? Would that have been a little long?
We'll have to confirm it. Long's not the place to be because there's not much help over the back of that green, but if you catch a little bit of a fly, it is severely downwind on 12. It's playing the third hardest hole on the golf course at the moment as well.
Well, we talked about whether you should lay it back onto the flat. Well, both these guys have done that. Gareth Patterson, the first time we've seen him, the lefty from New Zealand. So you see whether you can actually get that distance control from that sort of elevated flat level.
The one difference here is that it will throw it up into that breeze. So you have to work out if the wind's going to knock it down or whether it's going to carry the ball all the way back there.
Oh, that's a fine shot.
Someone's gone and put some glue on that slope. Matt Miller's stayed up.
It looks like it
up.
should really come back off there, doesn't it? But it's not perhaps as much as the visual tells us there. So the confirmation of that birdie on the 10th hole for Fraser Droop goes back into the lead. Couple under through the first 10 holes, so nice and steady from the young Victorian.
We talk about, you know, the opportunities that there are in the third round, and you see a couple of these people coming up. Peter Wilson, a name that is slowly kind of gradually climbing that leaderboard, as well as Scott Arnold, 7 under for the day. He's only one shot off the course record as we speak. A couple of holes to play.
Yeah, some opportunities there for some birdies still to come. Cameron John and Andre Lauti, both young Victorians. Cameron John turning pro pretty early in his career after winning the Australian Junior Championships, a Scottish stroke champion as well to go along with the Argentinian amateur title. So that ball has carried over the cart path. That's one of the difficulties too of this resort course, because for all of you that want to come down and play, you can go around in carts. That's part of the beauty of it. But with cart paths, it brings in another hazard into play at times, doesn't it?
It does. Well, you're not going to get a soft bounce on that, are you?
Well, he's played it in and across. Wow, what a creative shot that was.
That was probably difficulty of 9 or 10 out of 10. You'd have to say, be pretty happy with that. So an opportunity at least to walk away with par for Aaron Pike. You might remember we saw Aaron play the world's biggest bunker at the TX Civil and Logistics WA PGA earlier this year when he teed it up down in the mining area in the super pit, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was one of the great shots of the golf year, that one. That got huge coverage around the world. Good finish recently, 4th at the PNG Open, Aaron Pike, so carrying a bit of form into here.
Looks like the posture of Rick Kulaks.
This is a big green. You can see the elevation changes in that green too. There's a real shoulder just at the mid-right of your screen there. The pin yesterday was up the back portion of this screen, caused a bit of trouble for players. And getting it close on this green has been quite a task for everybody. I guess it's the tee shot that's the relevant part of this. It's the dog leg left. Got to get it in the right portion of the fairway.
Well, it's a dog leg left, but it's an off-camber fairway. You know, everything runs down to the right-hand side. Usually you kind of hit into the slope and it brings it around into the dog leg. Not so much here.
It's Fraser Droop here. Not sure whether he's got a bit of issue to have to shape this around that tree.
It's working its way back okay. Another look at birdie coming up. Will be downhill. You can see that the wind really is picking up out there in some parts of the golf course. We'll refer to that quite often this week.
in particular, as the players walk off this hole here, they start to wrap around the top of a hill, and that's where you start to get the differences in the wind that you're talking about.
12th green almost completely protected from the wind overhead.
We're going to see some interesting greens. One of them that we won't see today in our coverage, but we will tomorrow, Ali, is I'm just trying to find it in front of me. I think it's the 6th green. If you take a look at the leaderboard, but the 6th green, one of the unique greens here at the RACV Cape Schanck Resort. It's 72 metres long, and it basically is 4 greens in one, very narrow. At times only around about 10 metres wide, but quite a unique shot. The pin placement there today at the front was a real birdie opportunity for players. Yesterday when they put it at the back, quite different. So some really clever and unique visuals that have been put into play here on this course.
Oh, that would have been one of the pars of the day, you would have to think there for Aaron Pike. But yeah, back on the 6th hole, you'd want to have the right club, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Into
well, the
that
reason,
green.
yeah, very much so, because as I said, it's like a 4-portion green. When you had the back one yesterday, if you missed it in the front portion, well, it was almost impossible to get it up and down with a 2-putt, because there's some elements of the green that come into play that just shoot the ball off the wrong direction to get it to the hole.
Well, we're hearing reports that maybe Fraser Droop might have had a bit of tee trouble in the last 2 holes. We'll try and keep you up to date with that. We didn't see any shots out of bounds, but I think that might be word on the street.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because there's plenty of opportunity for every player out here to just, neck a tee shot, even though they're using irons, and it gets off on that wrong angle with a bit of breeze, and the tee tree is very close to the fairway in a lot of places here, and you can be out of bounds or lose a ball with an unplayable in a heartbeat.
It's a part of the world that Rick Kulak's pretty comfortable on. He was part of the AIS program when it was held at Moona Links, so he spent a lot of time playing this style of golf course, despite being from WA originally. It was a home for him for a couple of years. So this to get to 8 under par. Not too much break in it.
No, good roll. Again, you could see just as that ball was finishing its rollout around the hole, it had plenty of turn in it. It wasn't sort of finishing straight, and that's been the difficulty for players making putts, is it just sort of lags. It puts the indicator on as it gets to the hole around here, which is quite difficult.
I always think when that's the case, you're better off thinking of the hole as a clock face and trying to work out where the straight line into the hole actually is, and then almost trying to just get the ball onto that roll. Yeah, absolutely. Which is tricky for linear players, actually. It's really hard for them to get the measure of that when they're used to saying, 2 balls outside right, as opposed to thinking about that clock face. We see, oh, does that get up? No, it's not going to. So another one back down the slope. On the 12th, it might end up taking another victim. Only 9 birdies for the day out there on the 12th so far.
How hard is it for somebody like Ryan, who has more recently turned pro? He's 24 years of age, so he's got plenty of golf under his belt with a strong amateur career, but coming into a pro event as leader after 2 rounds, there's sort of new positions for somebody like him.
Yeah, he has won on the Charles Tour over in New Zealand. He's been having a very good year. I think he's had 10 top 10 so far this season on the NZ Tour, but it is just a slightly bigger stage here at the Victorian PGA Championship.
Well, he's got us, covering him.
I mean, that in itself is a little bit of pressure, but as you can imagine, we're behind every player in this field, and Ryan 1 over par for today, so not quite dealing with the pressure. But it is a drop shot. We can confirm that from Aaron Pike. It was a bogey for him on the 12th hole.
So this is a shot that you'll get a lot when you miss greens around here, ball below your feet, trying to control flight, and then you've got to deal with the variations of shoulders that sit around the greens, and that's a beautifully played recovery shot.
Yeah, birthday coming up soon for Adam Burdett. He'll be turning 24 years of age. From Darren Beck. So the 14th hole, one of the 5 par 3s. You can see that whole location over in that front left section. So that was Harry Bateman. And he's got his 3.
There. Anthony. I don't know, it's M. Anthony. I don't know M's full first name, but what a opportunity for Mr. Anthony there, the amateur playing in that group. He's the 3 ball. And, you'd feel fairly special on a day like today. That's an amateur's dream.
That's it, but he didn't get the wardrobe notes. It's pale blue on the top.
They went for the team.
Beige slacks. Oh, this is great. This is back on the tee on 14.
Have a look at that
one
view.
Of the best views in Victorian golf right here.
So Matt Miller, all about picking the right club off the tee here to control distance, but also a big elevation drop.
The flag is down there, we promise, and it's a normal size. And look at that. That's pretty good from Matt Miller.
As you can see down by the green now, that wind picking up. We talked about how once they go around the top of the hill here, it becomes a really difficult stretch. You see the hair of Simon Hawkes blowing. And that's, and we showed the 15th up here. That's where that tee shot becomes really difficult, when that wind is blowing off the elevated tee. Pin position today here, though, he's not happy with that. Club left the hands early and the glove off before the ball's landed even. Oh, I'd be happy with that.
I think he might have got a bounce off the slope on the way down.
Well, I was on the way to saying that this front pin position here is a little in a bowl, so everything pulls together. So it's a favourable opportunity on the 14th today by comparison to when it was back yesterday.
Very true. Maybe he might have even tried the bump and run down there with that strike. He wasn't happy with it. And that looks like the figure of Zach Rudd, the CEO of TX Civil and Logistics, a great sponsor of the WA PGA. Pleasure to have him here playing our Victorian layout.
I just didn't quite get it all, but still a good position to get an up and down. He saw him on the first tee today. He's got the swagger going. You're talking about the am being in it like this. He was looking and feeling really good, and obviously made the cut after 2 rounds, which also is a good confidence builder for the amateurs.
It's always nice to play a pro event on the weekend. I think the stakes go up a little bit. That one just a little short from Ben Ford. Having a really good year on the Ladbrokes Pro-Am Series, 5-time winner to his name.
Well, there's no substitute for winning at any level. That just self-belief, particularly in golf when it's you and the course that you're playing against, not a head-to-head sport against an opponent that can control you. And if you can come out on top each week, well, gee, they can only do good things for you. And holds it out very solidly there.
And he's a very smart man because he dedicated one of his wins to his girlfriend.
Right.
And I recommend doing that. It was funny, he said that it was she'd been on the bag the previous year and he didn't get the win, and then this time round he was pretty happy to do it, but felt like he should dedicate it to her. Nice little touch. So Adam Burdett, after being well left.
Great story of him, Adam Burdett, last year, the Australian Open, where he managed to squeak in as a qualifier and then led after round one with an opening round of 68, and found himself, as he was quoted saying, I looked at the leaderboard and my mate said, you're in front of Spieth.
It's a good place to be. And so is the top of the leaderboard. So confirmation that Fraser Droop might have had a couple of issues at the turn. And we've got 3 players at the top. Things are getting interesting at the Victorian PGA Championship.
Good round underway. Can he finish strong for Andrew Martin? Victorian, 4 under par, 5 under for the tournament. Made his way up into the top 10. And just checking on Fraser's scorecard. In fact, he did birdie the 10th alley, but has double bogeyed the 11th. So that's where the drive issue came into play.
We knew it was one of the 2 tees. So great to have that confirmed.
Steve Jeffress there in pitching, trying to brighten up the coverage for us today. Of course, talk about consistent performers, plays extremely well week in, week out on the Australasian ISPS and Australasian Tour. Strong finish earlier this year in Toowoomba, the Queensland PGA.
Yeah, had a nice little tie for 11th at the Fiji International, presented by Fiji Airways.
We saw his amateur partner there, Mr. Bennett, putting out, just not really going for the birdie, lagging it up nicely. Probably had a shot there, so it could have been a net birdie.
That's it. He could be a good team player. He might be going in, trying to get the half in the beginning, and then opens the door for Steve Jeffress.
And again, that's another example of that ball just fading across the front of the hole. A good stroke. And just the difficulty in finding the right line. Simon Hawkes, after the drop club and ripped off glove, and doesn't take advantage of the good result.
If you want to be entertained, go and watch Simon Hawkes. He's just got that kind of flair about him.
Yeah, and it is entertaining in a sense. We don't really need to commentate on him, do you? You can tell by the stride, the body language, he gives it all to you.
Well, he thought it was Armageddon from the tee, but he ended up walking away with the par. So that's it for Group 14. Steve Jeffress, Alex Edge and Christopher Wood done for the day. Well, to try and get in that tie for the lead, if this could drop for Matt Miller. And a little bit almost scoopy with that putting stroke.
It's interesting, we were out in the course earlier, we watched a couple of putts on that particular hole, and anything from where Matt Miller was putting from is very slow. You're putting back up into the hill, and players are just not taking that into account, because on the green at the moment it looks like it's in a bowl. Actually looks like it's going downhill, but that's the visual that this type of course gives you. In fact, I think that putt is almost flatter than what they're reading. So we could have told him that. If see what the other groups do as they come through.
That's it. He was putting back into about a 4-story hill, so it is hard to convince yourself that it is downhill.
So this is Fraser Droop from the top of the hill, from the flat playing area, trying to get to that back pin. And it's been interesting seeing him play into these holes today. He has had the courage to fly the ball past most of these pins and bring them back and use the slope. A lot of players, when they're tentative, will under club in that situation, Ali.
It's so easy to do that. I think in particular with some of the uneven lies as well that you get around this golf course, you can see a great example of that on the drive on 12. You see balls go all the way down, even into that rough section on a kind of almost a hanging lie where your right foot feels like it's half a foot taller than the left and vice versa. I do like this play a little bit more. I do think that laying back, and Rick's managed to find a relatively flat lie, albeit in the rough.
Yeah, well, if you get a tad aggressive here, you get a really big, hard first kick off this fairway, and it puts it down to that front. It's almost like a false edge of the fairway there, and that's where you can get that difficult in terms of uneven lie. This one just out of the light rough. He caught that heavy. Heavy with no spin.
Ooh. Nearly up and in. Maybe that's the way to do it. Just that's how you play the shot, is just lay some sod over it.
He's looking he's gone so deep into there, and it ended up perfect.
He might have even just gone into a bit of a tuft of grass where it's almost just jumped up on him. He was on the bag for Marcus Fraser earlier this year at the World Perth Super Sixes, and learnt a lot that week, he said. They're good friends.
Marcus Fraser, almost. We always have a lot of almost, near and buts in golf, but heading into the final round of the Dunhill Links, had a real good opportunity of doing well. Wasn't able to play the final round that he had hoped for last week. Hold on. Nope, not going to.
Well, now you can see the advantage that Matt Miller had where it stayed and stopped up there. It's a much different equation from down the bottom of these ridges. And I think he knows that that's a bit of an opportunity gone begging. There's a huge walk between the 11th green and the 12th tee. You go all the way around there. Temporary hole, a par 3 that's not in play.
Well, the beautiful setting of the RACV Cape Schenck Resort there. Opportunities for everybody. If you like your golf, if you like food, accommodation, you can see the kids out there in the play area. It's the Victorian PGA Championships. On top of the leaderboard, Aaron Pike, Rick Kulatz and Fraser Droop.
Hi, I'm Damien Jordan.
Hi there, I'm Steve Jeffrey from Southport. I'm Matt Griffin from Victoria Golf Club, and I hope you're enjoying PGA TV.
I'm sending this next one.
Stop it! Look at the size of him too. How'd you do that?
Like, how do you get that distance out of that body?
When you hit a pure shot, the tailor-made ball is going to react to what you do more than what a pro would. Probably told you about 1,000 times. You got to try the ball.
My favourite thing about golf that it's fun to play and I like to play with other people.
With my golf and what they're doing, you know, it's huge for junior golfers like Isaac.
On the tee, one of the stars of our My Golf program, Zoe Manton. She's got a fabulous swing, and at her age, I think we're going to see a star in the making. Yeah, great shot.
My advice to the My Golf kids would probably be always have fun. I think that's most important, because if you don't love something, you're not always going to be passionate about doing it. Just play and just have fun.
It's good to see so many junior players playing golf. I grew up kind of in rural Australia, and there wasn't this many junior golfers that I got to hang around with, so there's a lot of competition between you guys, which is great. Hi, mate.
Can only recommend that you come and experience some of the great hospitality at the RACV Cape Schanck Resort as we take a look at the lefty, Gareth Patterson, on the tee at the 14th alley.
Yeah, really only a short iron for the players today, 143 metres, but with the change in elevation, probably only playing about 125 with the wind also, and that is going to stay up on that middle ridge. Not too happy about that one.
This is from the lower level. Coming up that hill, trying to control the pace. Has he made that? No. But a good effort.
For a chance to get into that four-way, well, it's a three-way. It would have been a four-way if that had dropped. Tie for the lead at the top for Ryan Chisnell. Not to be, but opportunities really coming up for him.
That one just coming off the side of the hill there. That's an opportunity. When we were watching yesterday out on this hole, you talked about that whole length, but some of the players yesterday just hitting 46-degree wedges. Into that, not quite there for Fraser Droop, but a solid par after the double bogey on the previous hole.
It's incredible how a hole location can change the complexion of some of these par fours as well. In particular, some of the shorter holes, it really does matter where that pin is situated as to whether or not players will go for it or lay back.
We just cannot see a putt made there, can we? It's an interesting hole location in terms of putting as well. Nobody has been able to read the line.
You have to think yesterday for Fraser in that 62, the hole must have looked like a bucket.
He made a bomb on the 18th as well to shoot the 62. He had an eagle with a hole out, didn't actually see the ball go in, went up to the green. They thought it was on a good line. Couldn't see it on the green, so they thought, well, I better have a look in the hole just in case, and there it was.
Maybe a little discussion over who's next to play, or perhaps the situation of the amateurs.
Well, though this group ended up being just a two-ball, Gareth Patterson and Aaron Pike. Their amateur got really nervous and didn't turn up to the tee on time. So they're a two-ball stuck in the middle of the field, so they've got extra time to chat and just to keep the rhythm of their group going, because there's no point being on the back of the group in front, because they're a three-ball and then the group in front of them, or sorry, the group behind them. Can I start again on that? The group they're following is Matt Miller and Simon Hawkes, and they're a 4-ball with the two amateurs, so they're obviously going to be a little slower.
The last thing they need to do is rush. I think that's what we're getting at.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But we needed to take our time to get there so we could get to this birdie opportunity from Gareth.
We're just doing the same thing as them. It's okay. So another Kiwi playing well.
Let's see if he can read the speed of this one, if he can get it to the hole. Not really. Just a little bit of tidy up work to do.
38 years of age is Gareth. Lives and plays most of his golf out of Wellington in New Zealand. He's been a pro.
Talk about a windy place, Wellington. My goodness. I played one of my events there. Obviously not golf, a tennis event there, and it blew so hard there were sandbags on the chairs at the side of the court to not have them go flying off. But he's had a pretty impressive career, hasn't he? Represented New Zealand as an amateur in the Eisenhower Cup, and of course has played World Cup also for New Zealand. So he's played some pretty big time events.
Two-time winner of this event as well, the Victorian PGA.
3 top 10s last year. Those in Fiji, the New Zealand PGA and the Vic PGA.
So this for a chance to put himself out in front for Aaron Pike to get to 8 under par. Best finish of his year came as a tie for 4th at the PNG Open. Had a couple of players on this tour kind of split their year between playing in ANZ, if you will, and over in Asia. A couple get a few starts on the Challenge Tour and, of course, the Charles Tour we mentioned earlier in New Zealand. But they're more kind of a 1 or 2 day event kind of tour.
So he's left himself with a good bit of work here, Aaron Pike, and on that previous 12 we talked about the difficulty here of not having any putts that you can just hit firm and straight, and this has got a little bit of movement in it as well, just coming off that side hill.
One of those classic examples of almost putting back into the slope, and it's very deceptive. You talked about it earlier.
Well, that was a good stroke, wasn't it?
The error really on the first putt, but got away with it. So I have to say, I've heard of the Tin Man, but have you heard of the T-Man? Because you're looking at him. Gareth Patterson.
Well, I didn't know that, but I did see him on the first squeezing out the tee bag into the bin.
Exactly. He's known for it. Sometimes if he can go in halfway through his round, he'll go in and make himself a hot cup of tea in the middle of summer. He did it, I caught him last year at the Vic PGA. It was about 28 degrees out and he was stopping, just ran into the clubhouse with his little keep cup. Quite a quirky character. As we take a look at 14.
Well, we've seen a couple of tee shots. The elevated tee with the magnificent view of Port Phillip Bay behind it.
Plays about 13 paces down in elevation. The whole location over on that front left section, just 8 paces onto the green. But you can see it really is all about club selection. Very
different hole if you were to play it to that back left pin, which is in that shot just there. If you miss short, tough to get a 2-putt into here. So a different angle of the 14th tee we have live now.
All the way up there. You can see the drop off that we're talking about. And a huge bound there. Looks like the figure of Adam Burdett to me.
In that flyover that we saw of 14. Oh, here's a shot right there. down way in the valley in the coastal sand dunes there is the bottom of the National Golf Club. The Greg Norman Moona course, and under construction down there is the Ocean course, redoing that there, 3 courses at the National Golf Club. And a good opportunity there. And the amateur in the group getting his tee shot away. Magnificent views there of the Mornington Peninsula and the RACV Cape Schenck Resort. And if you want to get down here and you like your food and wine, well, at the end of the day, you and I, Ali, we might pop into the beautiful Kooyong Resort or Paringa and drop ourselves a glass of the Pinot Noir. How's that sound?
That sounds delightful. I hear the food's pretty good in this part of the world as well.
It is indeed. But the golf so far today, as we sort of suspected, some good scores out there early, but the leaders just, you know, they're not faltering, but are they firing?
I think stalling is probably the word, and really it's one of those golf courses where you need to work out where to be aggressive around this golf course, when to pull the trigger. In particular, you know, we've talked about some of the short par 4s, and also, I mean, the 14th is a very birdieable hole, but it is all about shot selection. We're going to be hammering that here because it's a second shot golf course and it's really important to get the number right.
Well, it's important too to have some good sponsors behind you. And I talked about some nice Pinot Noir, but talk us through the opportunity the players had at maybe tasting a nice beer or two.
Well, I believe, in fact, there might have been a little beer pong.
Yeah, we're down here at Jetty Row Brewery. The guys here have looked after us really well, as you can see. I'm sipping on a Munich ale, which is beautiful. They took us back to show us the where everything's done, you know, what happens behind the scenes and all the brewing processes. And then you've got this sort of rustic section of a nice bar, and yeah, it's just been a good little experience. I don't go to a lot of breweries, you know, especially during tournament week. So to be able to come down and see one of the local brands, it's pretty raved about by the locals. It's been good.
Well, Blake just took us through a few of the different beers that he's been brewing here. Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think that he started out of his garage and just handing out to his mates, and then he's turned into this. It's pretty cool.
I think we opened on the 20th of December. We're like, what are we doing? Yeah. This is crazy. And we had to hit the ground running big time. Good. Which has been great, yeah, absolutely. And what's been really nice is that the fact that the community's embraced us. They've understood what we are with our pale ale. Yeah. And then we started to introduce some of our other beers. Blake's just starting to really flex his muscles and really mess around now with some really cool stuff. Because we've got the fonts available, and we're trading a little more, and people are asking for more and more all the time. So
I'm no connoisseur, but this is something I could drink.
Yeah, it's not offensive. You don't end up pint-eyed.
Oh, the backboard. Wow. One's with the holes in.
Dance.
Oh. So close. Oh, that was it.
So close. It's about time. I just couldn't get the ball in the hole.
Well done.
There it is. Oh, wow. That's bounced in and between all of them.
This could be actually a game.
Oh, no. Lip out. That's the body is just going up. Oh, this is terrible. Should have planned for this ball. Yeah! Surely we're counting it.
That's counted.
Cheers.
Well, what a day out it was at the Jetty Road Brewery for James Niddies, Anthony Marcazzani, Aaron Pike, as we get ourselves back to live golf on the 14th. Adam Burdett for birdie.
Ash Hall actually hit
was
a
it
couple
Ash
of
Hall?
good shots
Aaron
as
Pike.
well.
I get my Ash and Aaron's mixed up.
It's easy to do. I reckon they could play that game all night. Get that kind of feeling that they just go straight from the golf course to the brewery.
I did think it was interesting to hear James say he wasn't a connoisseur. I don't believe him about that. So this is Daniel Fox going with the bump and run with the wood. Lovely shot. Tell me, why would you go with that club instead of the putter in that situation?
I think it depends what's in front of you. Sometimes if you've got a little bit of an uneven lie, say in the first 2 rolls of the ball, it's better to get a hybrid or a 3-wood just so it's airborne, and that one drops in.
So Ben Ford to 7 under.
Joining the crew, really. So what can you do, Adam Burdett?
Well,
that's a 3.
Yeah, the leaderboard's starting to really tighten up.
Ball on its way for Fraser. Not too happy with that attempt. Cost him a couple of shots on this backside. That double bogey on the 11th certainly not helping his case.
There's that view, and you can see in the distance there the discoloration, the brown sand. That's all of the new works of the ocean course at the National Golf Club. But we're at the RACV Cape Schanck Resort, and it is magnificent. It's newly constructed accommodations, clubhouse, pool, gym. And if you want to get away from Melbourne, if you're based there, or you want to come down into Victoria to one of the golfing meccas of the Southern Hemisphere, I can tell you that it's a beautiful place to stay. You'll thoroughly enjoy it as your base to get around the Mornington Peninsula, get down to the beaches, Portsea, Sorrento, all of the wineries.
A solid little 8-footer there from Ryan Chisnell.
How much does that play on your nerves over around a golf alley? Those putts that you leave yourself in that sort of position where you're continually putting yourself under stress at the end of a long day or 3 to 4 rounds can be the difference, can't it?
Yeah, I think really anything inside 10 feet on this golf course is important, because you're going to have a lot of 10-footers for birdie. It's whether you can convert those or not. I think that will really take the pressure off maybe those tougher tee shots when you've got that cushion of being well under par.
little caravan there. You can tell me about that, can't you? You've got some notes on that.
Yeah, well, it's the Jetty Road Brewery caravan, in fact. I'm not sure if there's any beer in there at the moment.
No, well, there should be.
Yeah. But I have to say, it is a cool story. Started in their garage, as we heard in the feature piece, and they've really only been open for about 10 months.
And boutique breweries really taking off, particularly down this portion of the world. But I know a lot of my mates talk about them as something that is really starting to take off. So this par 3, playing 143 metres exactly today with the front pin position. And that one using the undulation of the green nicely. So good opportunity. Really, with this pin today, even though it's blustery and it's got the elevation change, it is a birdie opportunity.
Very much so. I really think we talked about the leaderboard and the concept of, you know, a lot of those players kind of stalling out there. And part of that is purely because of the wind. It's such a difficult wind when you have undulation to work out whether you throw the ball up with a wedge and it's going to either be kind of knocked down by this trailing wind that they have on 14 and actually take yardage off, or whether you can kind of hit that mid-height shot that gets carried by the wind instead. But it's really only about a wedge in hand, probably even less today. Anything just right of the pin is pretty good.
Now that is very good indeed. Lovely control there. And that's a great birdie opportunity.
Yeah, scoring. As Rick Kulak's currently at 7 under par, 1 under for the day. So can Fraser do anything on this backside? Oh, beautiful shot. Unlucky it pulled up, but that was dead on track.
There's his dad, Evan, good player in his own right. Pro from Yarrawonga. He was top 50 in the order of merit back in the 90s in his own playing days. So there's the leaderboard. I talked about it bunching up. We'll have a look at that. It is packed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players now tied for the lead at 7 under par. You're watching the Victorian PGA Championships live from the RACV Cape Shank Resort. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Peter Lunnard.
I'm Aaron Townsend.
I'm Dave Branston. I'm from Sale Golf Club and you're watching PGA TV.
Life can be mighty monotonous. Everything still so doggone humdrum, stuck in a rut, getting no.
We designed Twist Face to deliver straight distance to every golfer. But what we didn't count on was making every course marshal feel somewhat underutilized. Sorry, it's gonna be a long season. Twist Face, only in the M3 and M4 drivers from TaylorMade.
Looking to reduce the cost of playing golf or need a handicap? The RACV Golf membership offers 5 free and 10 half-price rounds at our 5 golf courses valued at up to $748. Plus, discounts at many partner facilities including driving ranges. Set up and maintain your golf handicap, allowing you to play in official competitions. Submit all your social scorecards at the click of a button. And play in exclusive RACV Golf member events designed to meet the needs of all golfers, new and experienced. RACV members can also enjoy further discounts at RACV resorts, attraction tickets, and even the cinema. Join RACV Golf membership today and play more golf for less.
Play more golf for less at this magnificent resort, the RACV Cape Shank Resort here down at the Mornington Peninsula in Victoria. And it's a magnificent day. Have a look at that. Not a cloud in the sky. Little breeze up. Difficult little portion of the course coming up in the final stages of round 3 of the Victorian PGA.
And nice to see the kids playing. It's family day here tomorrow. I've heard there's going to be...
It's family day every day here at the resort, Ali.
Even more so, apparently, jumping castles. I heard that there was going to be free ice cream. That got my ears pricked, and I think that goes for the adults as well as the kids with any luck. So if you have some kids and you're thinking about going away for a day, getting out of the city, come on down. We'd love to have your company at the Victorian PGA Championship.
This is the final group, playing the 14th. All 3 players with a good opportunity at birdie to see whether he can get this pace right coming back towards the hole here. Ryan Chisnell. Indeed he does. The first that we've seen make it from that side of the hole, Ali.
And he gets to 8 under par, breaking out of that deadlock of 7 people. Now there's only 6 on 7 under par, but still it's all up for grabs today. If you can put yourself in a good position for tomorrow.
So Fraser Droop with his chance for birdie. No mucking around. Puts that one in comfortably. So 2 players now gone to the top of the leaderboard. Fraser Droop, for me, he's an interesting character to keep an eye on over the rest of today and tomorrow, because he plays a lot of trainee golf days as part of his traineeship, and look, he's won 6 of them this year. Monday events, he's won in Berwick, Nyanga Park, Sandhurst, Riverside Oaks, St Andrews Beach, and Tocumwal. We talked about when you learn to win, go low. You've got to go low in one day to win those events, so you're not scared in that case, and that'll come to I think favour him as we head to the final day.
Well, they're walking up to one of the most nerve-wracking tee shots on this golf course right now, off the back of 14 and up to the 15th. But you can see some movement at the top of the leaderboard. Ryan Chisnell and Rick Kulaks.
We can throw Fraser Droop up into there now too, through 14, so he'll go to 1 under for the day. So movement at the top of the leaderboard, but yeah, you talked about the 15th tee shot that's coming up, and varying ways that you can play that tee shot too.
You'd have to think, you know, every now and then you see stats where, you know, it's fairways made and shots gained. And I think if you can find the short stuff on 15, you might really genuinely pick up a shot on the field, especially over a 4-day event, as this is. We're in the 3rd round today here on Saturday.
Well, young Andre Lauty rounded the day with a 7 under par to match a 5 under yesterday. It's an incredibly strong performance from that young man. Finished his VCE last year and had a chance to this year just focus purely on his golf, and you can see the rewards that he's starting to get from them. He's out of the high performance squad at the Victorian at Golf Victoria. I was going to say it's at the VIS, but it's not. It's their high performance program out at Spring Valley Golf Club. And gee, very impressed after a slow start, 78 and the tough wins on Thursday.
Yeah, did that bogey-free today as well, which is potentially even more impressive given that Fraser Droop shot 8 under with a bogey in the mix. So Andrew Martin for birdie, and he gets to 7 under par. Starting to get the feeling it might be a bit of a congested leaderboard. So solid day for him at the office.
That's a different angle of the magnificent architecture of the resort down here at Cape Schanck. Blends in beautifully to the surroundings, and there's quite a strict term of architecture and design down here in the Mornington Peninsula. The properties all have to sort of blend into the environment, and they've done a magnificent job with that facility. So this is the 9th hole. There was a 2T start here today. We saw this man doing a bit of training, you could call it. Different sort of training at the Jetty Road Brewery. This is James Nitty's approach shot.
Is it technically carb loading? I'm not sure. Surely they're low-calorie beers out at Jetty Road.
It was a loose practice after that little PR visit. The swing was well lubricated.
Got a little lucky with the tee shot, really. Threw this down the left side. Did well to find the short grass. Winner of this event back in 2011, James Nitties. So it's a style of golf you could say he's quite comfortable with.
Well, talking about comfortable, we talked about the 15th hole and the tee shot. Talk us through what you might predict, and we'll talk about tomorrow in these closing holes as we get to see them in our coverage here on day 3 now. But 15 is a pivotal hole. If you can get out of there with a par or better, you've done well. What do you do from there? Is it attack through the par 3 at 16? It's a short par 5 at 17. And then on the tee shot on 18, it's a drivable par 4, but do you take the risk?
Well, I mean, that depends how you're hitting your driver, I guess,
yes,
on that final round as well, and whether the heart's beating fast. But there are opportunities, and I think that's what we need to point out. As much as 15 is mildly terrifying, even for someone that played professional golf like I did, it's something that you just kind of check yourself on, and you really do pay notice and pay attention to it. It is the wind has now turned around to the direction that it was in the previous 2 days as well. So it is off the left, pushing all of the balls over towards the trouble on the right, as we see Tim Hart throw it out from the bunker on the 9th hole. So that one will just go by. I'll need that for par. But there truly are a lot of opportunities. And opportunities to get active as well, evidently.
Indeed. There's a little bit of choreography work going on here. This is part of the fun day tomorrow. It's just the prep, I think.
That could be it. This could be the dance crew for the entertainment, or it could just be a fantastic photo opportunity. Either way.
Or it could have been some of the ladies already participating in Chardonnay throughout the afternoon, some of the local product. But the golf, as we just talked about, it's been quite interesting to see today. I thought we might see some more low scores come out, but that picture there of the 9th hole, we just saw that flag starting to stiffen a little bit, and that will make things interesting coming into these closing holes. Perhaps hold that feel bunching together.
Well, that's the difference, is that there's not meant to be any wind right now.
No, it was the forecast on our computer here said it was supposed to be dying off this afternoon, when in actual fact it's actually gathering.
Still staying pretty strong, and it was meant to kind of strengthen at about noon today, and then, as you say, die off as the day went. But that's not happening, so that's why we're seeing a couple of players creep up and really kind of take advantage of that moment. There is a lot to be gained right now on the golf course.
And currently 18 degrees, max of 20. The thing here is where we're positioned. We get that nice cooling breeze off the oceans, both off Port Phillip Bay and Western Port Bay. And this afternoon, that wind, well, it says it's at 13, but it gusts around here as well, up to 20, 25 throughout the afternoon. This is Ewan Walters with a beautiful putt on the 9th. Might bring great joy, 4 over for the tournament thus far.
Yeah, playing alongside Tim Hart and James Nitties. Pretty happy seeing that one drop.
James Nitties, tell us a little bit about him, Ali. Throughout his professional career, he can have some fantastic weeks. Had a very good week over in Perth at the Super Sixes, but he's sort of on and off.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, James was really, you know, in his early 20s, quite a spectacular golfer. Not to say he isn't now, but I think the complexion of golf has changed quite dramatically since then. He won the NCAA Championships. He went through the college golf system over in the US, played on the Web.com tour and played out on the PGA Tour for a year in 2009 as well. So he's a man that's kind of the classic journeyman. He's been all over. He's got a load of experience under his belt. And up and out of that one pretty quickly. But he's very, very tough on himself, James Nettie. So he's another one of those guys that, you know, you kind of almost think he expects a bad break sometimes. Once he starts getting on a roll, as we saw him earlier this year at the World Super Six Perth, when he made it to the final against Kiradech Apibarnrat, and that really springboarded his year. So he's now in a pretty decent spot on the order of merit, almost incompletely part due to that.
Well, he was part of the 2T start, so he started on the 10th today and finishes his round on the 9th. Mixed bag, 1, 2, 3, 4 bogeys on the front side with 3 birdies. And just 1 birdie on the second coming home.
Well, playing the course the wrong way round, started on 10.
How about that in terms, because often you'll see in that situation a player at the back of the field have a great third round, all of a sudden they're back in contention. But what's that like when you're playing it the wrong way round in a tournament, when you sort of think you're at the bottom, but all of a sudden it changes?
Well, that's it. I mean, when the leaderboard is as condensed as it is, you can actually see with the reverse U-shaped draws, some people coming off those early good conditions on the other side of the golf course play their way into contention that way.
It is a shot of the 18th green, I think. So the tee shot there, as we said, it's drivable, just 306 metres today. But if you push anything to the right, that's a lost ball in some very thick tea tree. So the drive has to be incredibly accurate. So decision to make is to leave it to a number and have a good wedge approach, or to get it to the front of the green and see whether you can get it up and down.
I guess that kind of depends on whether you're 2 back, 3 back, or 1 back, or 2 in front come the end of play tomorrow. So Aaron Pike here.
It's our first look at the par 3 16th. And up and out of that one early. Didn't commit. Little deceleration into the stroke.
Very attackable hole location today on 16. So I think Aaron will walk away knowing that maybe he let a chance go by. Grew up playing his golf up in Northern Territory on Palmerston Golf Club, the home of the Northern Territory PGA.
Another indicator there, the trousers of Gareth Patterson just starting to get really blustery. This putt for par. Well, just apologies there, a little technical issue. Just watching little golf in. Played backwards there. You can replay that in your mind.
It's how you should play this golf course. You should play it from the hole location back to the tee.
Apologies, but we can only laugh at a little bit of something like that as we see what looks like Stephen Leaney in picture. That lovely languid swing that he has.
Just stay with me, Phil.
Very very much like a Jeff Ogilvy from that same type of era, Ali.
Yeah, really swings the golf club, I guess you could say. And swung it nicely.
Well, that was
there.
the approach we're talking about. Laid it back to a number with a wedge on 18. And that's a great birdie opportunity to close with. So that's Fraser Droop and his approach shot into 15. He made a miraculous bogey there yesterday. That's going to come off that hill nicely. Pushed his tee shot right and it hit the cart path. And he had to take a drop way back, hit it into a difficult area, got the fourth on to about 20 feet and hold it. So it was that kept his round going when he shot that 62.
Well, let's have a look at a couple of the highlights. So this Rick Kulaks for birdie on 9. Absolutely never in doubt there.
And to the 14th, this was Darren Beck's birdie opportunity on the short downhill par 3. And solid as a rock with that putt. Boona course and under construction down there is the Ocean course.
Ben Ford. This one's certainly worth another look. The tee shot on 14 on the par 3. Level par for his round out there. So far today through 15 holes. Par, 1 under for the day.
And this was Fraser Droop. This would have looked good to him because this one was right at it.
Do anything on this
and
backside.
It pulls up quickly and he would drain that to regain a share of the lead. And this was the first player we've seen make a putt from that side of the green on 14 of any length. And that was Ryan Chisnell. And the closing hole, the Victorian Andrew Martin.
Who I believe we're going to hear from shortly. So a good way to finish for the Victorian. He finds himself at 7 under par total. And a good spot going into the final round tomorrow. Just one back currently, but he's in the clubhouse.
Yeah, fabulous round, 6 under par, but one behind, as you mentioned, from Rick Kulats, Ryan Chisnell and Fraser Droop, all at 8 under par. Matt Miller also at 4 under for the day. And we'll take a look here at the 16th hole, another beautifully visual shot. We can see the backdrop of Port Phillip Bay. And the location, pin location here, accessible, Ali.
Very much so. A slightly elevated tee, just using the slope very nicely. Keep on coming back.
Oh, it's in.
Hole in one, the perfect shot from Ben Ford, and high fives all round.
Wow. That was unexpected. We had no idea that was coming. What a magnificent hole in one, and that changes things again on the leaderboard at the Victorian PGA Championships. You're watching us live from the RACV Cape Schenck Resort. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
Jason Norris. Hi, I'm Ernie Els and you're watching PGA TV.
I'm sending this next one.
Stop it! Look at the size of him too. How'd you do that?
Like, how do you get that distance out of that body?
When you hit a pure shot, the tailor-made ball is going to react to what you do more than what a pro would. Probably told you about 1,000 times. You got to try the ball.
My favorite thing about golf that it's fun to play and I like to play with other people.
with my golf and what they're doing. You know, it's huge for junior golfers like Isaac.
On the tee, one of the stars of our My Golf program, Zoe Manton. At her age, I think we're going to see a star in the making. Yeah, great shot.
My advice to the My Golf kids would probably be always have fun. Just play and just have fun.
It's good to see so many junior players playing golf. There's a lot of competition between you guys, which is great.
Good look here at the 16th hole, another beautifully visual shot. We can see the backdrop of... So, welcome back to the Victorian PGA. That's Ben Ford. This was the tee shot just a moment ago. It was live while we were watching it. None of us thought it was going to be this much of an easy access hole location. Ali Whitaker uses the back bank beautifully and sends it home for a hole-in-one.
Just in that right edge as well from his point of view. And look at that. What a celebration and a really cool moment there for the Victorian.
And there's the scorecard. What a way to bounce back after a double bogey on 15 as well. So from 5 under par, he now vaults himself up to tied 4th at 7 under par and just one shot off the lead. So some exciting stuff on the 16th as we welcome you back into our studio. And joining us right now is Andrew Martin, coming off a fabulous round today of 6 under par. Welcome and well done.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, first time in here, so it's...
Yeah, well, don't be nervous. Ali and I are not going to, like, you know, make it hard for you.
We're very gentle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to us about your round today. There's your scorecard, a fabulous back nine, 5 under par. But what can we expect these closing holes from the guys coming in?
The wind is definitely picking up a lot. We got to 14 the par 3, and it was definitely sort of howling straight down breeze there, and which makes sort of 15 a bit more. It's already a tight shot down there.
Yeah.
And it makes it a little bit more intimidating. But 16 for Ben with the hole-in-one. That was a very impressive shot, because that's a tricky pin there.
So we didn't think it was tricky. Ali and I just said, oh, it was very accessible, but different when you're out playing it.
I was sort of slightly to the left side of it, above it, and I had a fair bit of break there, so, and it was very quick, so that wind's probably drying it out a little bit. So for the leaders, it's going to be, you know, pin high right. It's probably a good spot to be.
Tell us about your round today. What did you do well, ball striking wise, good course management?
Bit scrappy the front 9, and then the sort of back 9 I started to sort of a few more wedges in the hand, and then you sort of hit it quite close. There's a few sort of funnels.
We just saw Stephen Laney miss a very good birdie opportunity on the last, and Ali and I have been talking about putting. Tell us about the putting out there. Is it difficult? Not a lot of what seems like firm straight putts that you can hole out aggressively with.
Yeah, no, just with because the slopes are all sort of funneling, it sort of makes it very hard to sort of trust your line. Like some sort of look like they're going to break a fair bit, and then just with the speed it can really throw you off a little bit. If you're slightly a bit firm, it can just sneak past it. But they've been pretty true this week. For me, I'm a bit of a sort of lag putter, so for me I can sort of see a lot of break, and it's worked out well so far.
And we take a look at the leaderboard. Ali, 4 back at the top of the leaderboard. We've had some movement over the past hour or so.
Well, we should tell Andrew, at one point in time, there was only one other name on that leaderboard that wasn't in the lead. We had 7 joint leaders, so it really has been quite an interesting day out here. And now, Andrew, you've been down in this part quite a bit. You're part of the AIS program. It's a style of golf that you're very comfortable with. What do you think's key to playing kind of this peninsular golf well?
I think especially this sort of golf course, you can use a lot of the slopes to bring the ball back in. Start of the week, I didn't think they were going to be quick enough to be able to use them, but the bit of wind we've had the last few days, it's quickened the greens up. So, and the pin place has been quite good where you can sort of use it a little bit. But I think if you can set yourself off the tee is the key. I think then you got a few more opportunities with a wedge in your hand.
Beautiful view there of one of the key shots here from the Cape Schanck RACV resort. This is Harry Bateman and his approach into the 18th. What's your strategy playing this particular hole? Because we're talking about the fact you can take driver off the tee and try to get it to the front of the hole, or do you lay it back, or do you look at the scoreboard at that particular time at the tee and decide?
I think for myself, I think I've just hit 3-iron off that tee, sort of just used the slope a bit, and had, I think, the red dot's about 65 to the front, so you sort of got a good wedge in your hand. And at the moment the wind's off the left, so it's not too bad. You can sort of, today's probably the hardest pin where you had to use the slope a little bit, but again it feels like it will come off the left there, but it's quite flat, that pin. So
yeah, I guess you could say that maybe the key might be, as we see Darren back, his second into 18, and a nice shot there as well, pulling it back. Needs to get a bit of a read off Stephen Leaney a few moments earlier, but you could say maybe that the strategy is looking around the green, looking at what slope you can use to your advantage, and then taking it from there.
Yeah, exactly. Like on 18, what Darren just did there, you can sort of bring it back, use that wind with a little bit of spin to come back. But yeah, just really look away from the hole nearly and just see where the best options come in from. With
such a clogged leaderboard, you're in the clubhouse, you're going to be tight there tomorrow. You may end up, being in the last group or second to last group. How are you going to approach round 4?
I think I'm just going to play the same sort of.
One shot at a time, that cliche? No,
cliche,
on,
but
give us more than that in
but
here.
Especially around here. And the scores, like scores they aren't sort of going too low. Like today was probably a bit easier, which I've actually thought a couple of those pins were quite tough up on the back tiers to get to, but there's some good scores this morning. But I think the key is just to play your own game and let the birdies come, which is what I sort of did on the back 9. I didn't really.
No, I guess you do the same, because they're 5 under on the back 9. You'll take that on the back 9 tomorrow.
Yeah, you can try and play the course quite aggressive if you want, but there's a big number there.
At your own peril.
Exactly.
Andy and I played a lot of golf together growing up, and he was known as one of the craftiest players. One of those guys that could just squeeze a score out of almost any day.
It's a good shot by Aaron.
Yeah, really, you'd think almost a tap-in birdie opportunity.
Bit of different conditions to what you've been playing in recently as well, Andy. You've been based over in Asia. You said you've been playing in Taiwan quite a bit.
Yeah, well, our last 2 weeks over there was in Taiwan, which we actually had a fair bit of wind over there because we were sort of on the edge of that typhoon.
Kong-Ray, yes. I was in Korea and got a bit of it as well.
Yeah, so we've had a fair bit of wind the last couple of days, but the greens probably haven't been quite this smooth that we've been putting on, so it's quite nice to come back here and hit a putt and see where it goes where it's meant to go.
And watch it hug the ground. It's luxury of sorts here at RACV Cape Schanck Resort. That one just slides by.
Important putt there for Bateman too, to try to get to 7 under and just keep in touch with that rest of the crew. Not to be though.
What's it like going abroad and kind of balancing your tours between playing the ISPS Honda PGA Tour of Australasia, but also playing overseas and working out what kind of schedule you put together?
Quite lucky for us, or with the Asian Tour at the moment, nothing's quite conflicted.
Okay.
Coming towards the end of the year, I think there's talk of a couple of events that might conflict with New South Wales and Aussie Open and PGA actually. So at the moment on their schedule, we've only got a conflicting event with the Australian PGA. So it's filled out the middle of the year for us quite well, playing a sort of 4-round tournament. So,
can you talk us through this putt for Gareth Patterson?
Yeah, it's going to be quite slow coming up. There's a slope about there, and then it's going to sort of trickle on down. Actually, it wasn't too bad. I thought it might have just trickled back towards Aaron's marker there, but
pretty confident he can finish out. So how many Aussies are over there playing on the Asian Tour? Is there kind of a group of you that travel together, or how does that work?
Yeah, no, I think this year was from Q School. There was 11 Aussies that got their card through Q School and 2 Kiwis. Gareth's been over there with us, and then I think there's been about 4 or 5 that have been on the tour previous year. So there's a fair few Aussies over there this year, which is good. And we've had a couple of re-ranks now, so there's sort of Taiwan. There was probably 15 of us, maybe to 10. So
that makes it a lot easier to have that feeling of camaraderie, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a few of the guys that I travel with, like Josh Younger, who I've travelled a lot with through Australia, and we both got our card this year, so it's been good travelling with him. And you know, like you pick who you want to stay with, sort of up there, because you got a good few to pick from.
So this short birdie putt for Aaron Pike puts him into a 4-way tie atop of the leaderboard at 8 under par.
Now I have to ask you, we're going to get maybe a little bit of dirt on the players. Who's the pickiest eater when you go to Asia? Is there one person that's always just taking their peanut butter and jelly sandwiches out with them?
Before you answer that, let's just take a look at this putt. This is to also get on top of the leaderboard at 8 under par. So we've got 5 players now tied for the lead.
Glad you're keeping track of that.
You two are talking
it's
food and travel
by the minute.
I'll let you answer that question now.
I actually travelled with Jared Felton last week, and that was the first time I've roomed with him, and he wasn't too bad, but out of the guys I've travelled with, he was a little picky.
Was he? I could see him as a steak and chips type of man, was he?
No, he wasn't too bad. It was just more he didn't really want to venture to the street food stuff, and sometimes they're the best food, but he was a bit cautious on where he was going. He didn't mind a few Maltesers at night.
So what you're saying is that after more years on tour, you've become more of an iron guts than what he has?
Yeah, I think so. I think just the older statesman I keep getting called out there at the moment. I'm only 34, but
yeah.
All these young guys.
Well, welcome back into the studio, everybody, and we're just talking food and travel show here right now on PGA TV, and lucky to have Andrew Martin with us, and off a fabulous round there today. But that leaderboard now, 5 guys tied at 8 under par. Tomorrow's going to be a real shootout. We talked about what you're going to do, but it's going to be a real shootout.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like you said, 5 guys, and still a few more guys probably out there that can maybe catch up. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting Sunday.
Yeah, I had expectations a little bit today that a couple of guys might go real low again, like Fraser did yesterday. How hard is it to back up? I mean, we always talk about this, to back up around like a 62 and sort of keep that foot down on the accelerator. It doesn't seem to happen much in professional golf.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones where you've just got to, you probably get a bit defensive after a good round, but I think you've just got to sort of back it up. And a course like this, there's plenty of opportunities, so I think if you're patient, the birdie's going to come. So, but yeah, it's always been one of those ones hard to back up a low one. But
I've always had difficulty.
What, backing up a 75? I'm just kidding. You're a very good player in your own right.
You put the dagger in quickly there, Ali. So Simon Hawkes hasn't had the best of days, as we see he's approached the end of the 18th, 2 over par coming into this hole. Probably say an outside birdie chance from there.
And that's what you can get sometimes with that. The wind can just sort of swing a little bit, and you saw Simon's there, it just sort of skidded, didn't quite grab, and sort of use that slope to come back.
How much, we're going to let you go in just a moment, but one more, how much have you enjoyed coming down here to Cape Schanck? It's the first time we've played the tournament here at this beautiful resort. The course has been presented fantastically well, but it's a different type of challenge.
It is a different challenge. Like as Alison said before, I've sort of lived down here for a fair while, and back in Melbourne, it's a very nice area down here, and we've got the perfect weather. But it's what they've done to this facility, RACV. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I think all the guys are enjoying, you know, playing here.
Well, we certainly love the support of the RACV in golf. Of course, don't forget that the Australian PGA is at the Royal Pines RACV Resort later on this November. Defending champion Cam Smith coming back to see if he can win that title once again.
Zipping that one back, maybe a little bit too much for Ben Ford. Probably still running off a little adrenaline from the 16th. He's hole in one.
Played a little bit with Ben in recent times out at Amesbury, just a bit of practice, and he does have some very good hands on him, and you know, he can zip the ball, spin it like anyone. Like I struggle to spin it, but Ben, he can spin it from anywhere. And sometimes, as you saw then, it can be a bit too, sometimes you got to control a little bit better, but
a little pitch there from the amateur in the group there. Dave Zarakis, the Essendon midfielder, showing he's got some pretty handy hands as well. He must venture out to the golf course a bit in between training sessions, one imagines.
It's a good sport, as you well know, Todd. If you're an athlete in a different kind of regime, it's a good way to break up your days.
And there is that example you're talking about, being able just to use those slopes.
yeah. And they're quite deceiving sometimes too. Like, they look like they're quite a big slope, but I think it's just the way it looks. So sometimes you've got to really throw it further back to be able to bring it all the way back to the flag, because you can sort of get it halfway up and it doesn't quite get enough speed to come all the way to the hole.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because we've followed a fair bit of Fraser Droop today, and he's been one of the few players that has in fact used enough club to get it well past the hole and bring a lot of them back. But there is the leaderboard. Andrew, we're going to say thank you very much for joining us. It's been great to hear from you, and
Thanks
wish
for
you
having me.
well tomorrow.
Yeah, it's been good catching up. Good to get all of the dirt from the Asian Tour, as well as the good times here at the Victorian PGA. But best of luck for the final round.
Thank you.
So 5 players on top of the leaderboard at 8 under par. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with more live coverage from the Victorian PGA Championships.
Hi, I'm Lucas Herbert from Commonwealth Golf Club, and you're watching PGA TV.
Life can be mighty monotonous. Everything's still so doggone humdrum, stuck in a rut, getting no.
We designed Twist Face to deliver straight distance to every golfer. But what we didn't count on was making every course marshal feel somewhat underutilized. Sorry, it's gonna be a long season. Twist Face, only in the M3 and M4 drivers from TaylorMade.
I'm a big left to right golfer. I chase the ball more than Tyler. He's more down the fairway than I am, and I enjoy the red dirt where Tyler enjoys the green grass. It's a beautiful course, and it's accessible to everybody because it's a public course, and especially Kalgoorlie, the kids can play for free, and they just love the game, so why not come out and play?
Looking to reduce the cost of playing golf or need a handicap? The RACV Golf membership offers 5 free and 10 half-price rounds at our 5 golf courses valued at up to $748. Plus, discounts at many partner facilities including driving ranges. Set up and maintain your golf handicap, allowing you to play in official competitions. Submit all your social scorecards at the click of a button. And play in exclusive RACV Golf member events designed to meet the needs of all golfers, new and experienced. RACV members can also enjoy further discounts at RACV resorts, attraction tickets, and even the cinema. Join RACV Golf membership today and play more golf for less.
Well, it has been a beautiful day, and the golf has matched the surroundings here at the RACV Cape Schenck Resort as we get to the final couple of holes of round 3, and it's certainly bunched up on the leaderboard. This was Simon Hawkes. This is a day that he wants to get over with, but it's not done yet. Still a bit of work to do for par on the 18th.
2 over, for the round going into this hole, so not too many favours gone his way with that first putt either. We saw the approach in. Really a classic example of wedge in hand, walking away with a bogey. That one nearly missed for his bogey putt in the end, so it's going to be a round of 73 for the Tasmanian. 2018 Vic Open champion, and you always know how Simon Hawkes feels on the golf course. Not happy with that one.
I shouldn't chuckle at him, but having had that, or have been in that headspace at some point or another in my sporting career, I can relate. Not his best effort really for Ben Ford, but still coming home like a freight train, many thanks to the one he made on 16. Of Matthew Miller, and he gets to 8 under par. And a nice little round of 65, bogey free as well. It's that sort of mature patience too around this course that is playing into the hands of Matt Miller, and we heard Andrew Martin say, you know, you've got to put the ball in the right place and be patient. You get that little aggressive here, and it's a double and triple out of nowhere in a heartbeat here at Cape Schanck.
A real opportunity missed there for Adam Burdett after a beautiful little pitch in. And a mere formality as they walk up to the scoreable par 4 18th.
Yeah, interesting hole, that 17th too, because it's quite a short par 5 at only 465 metres, but it requires accuracy off both the tee shot and the second shot. And should you waver there, it's a lost ball basically. So the player's playing it as a 3-shotter, even though it's short on length. Gareth Patterson, the lefty.
Put in position well. Should set up nicely for his, well, in theory, for his shot shape, but a real unforced error there with just a short club in hand.
And that one will be a little difficult up and down from there. He's got to use the undulations and slopes. And
well, there is a sharp drop off down the right hand side, that big bunker on the left, and not a lot of room past this pin either. So they do really have the ability to almost tuck the flag on 18. I'm sure we'll see the rules officials maybe do that again tomorrow, just to set up for that exciting finish, try and get a result down the stretch.
We were talking about this hole being played like a 3-shotter. From the tee shot where most players are landing, they're going to have around, well, about 210 or so, maybe 220 into a par 5. So you would think, okay, that's something that a lot of them would go for, but explain the reason that they're not, Ali.
Well, it's an interesting hole 17 because there's so much slope on it that kind of runs away from the natural slope of the hill. So you're constantly out of balance once you walk up onto the hole, and you know, it's a big elevation up to that second shot, and then it really bends around a corner almost at a 90-degree angle up to this green, which this camera angle is from behind the green, but it really is quite a slope around, so it's just kind of hard to work out what the straight line is.
Yeah, right, and if you took a long iron, you'd miss here. The misses are almost unplayable. There's some nasty trees, as you could see on the left there, and on the right you've got the deep bunkers and also a cart path that comes up quickly on you, and if you hit that, well, you can be anywhere.
It's certainly the safe play is laying back, and Rick's put himself in a good position to really run this all the way up the green, maybe take it a couple of hops before it gets to that left-hand hole location. Not really back hole location, because there's kind of tucked midway on the left-hand side. You can see it in line with the buggy in the back.
Oh, beautifully played. He's used that little bit of a backstop there in that right corner, or left-hand corner of your screen, rather, and a really good opportunity to get to 8 under par. So this will test the short game, laying that face wide open.
Almost played it too delicately, if there is such a thing. That was very nice from Gareth. Nice guy to be around, really affable, easy to approach. I think a lot of people that playing pro-ams with him would be quite happy with the draw.
So the New Zealander, Ryan Chisnell, the 24-year-old. Sort of a test in this group of short game and control of the spin. That one just got too much on it. Still a birdie opportunity. Just needed a bit of a softer feel to it.
Played out of Greenacres golf course over in New Zealand. I haven't played it myself, but you'd have to think that there may be an advantage for the Kiwis on this kind of layout. There's a lot of similarities, in particular with the grass style and the kind of coastal locations. Playing golf at the age of 7. His dad took him out with him, as the way that most of us, I think you could say, learnt. As we watch this third shot, will it come back for Drew? We'll let you know. Up ahead to 18.
Well, that's Aaron Pike. As we understand it, we talked about, do you drive the green or lay it back? He went for it, and that was for eagle. So he's going to have a pretty short tap in to take the lead here on Saturday, day 3 of the Victorian PGA Championships, and a good round being put together by him. Currently at 4 under par. That one would be for 5 under for the day.
Yet to make birdie on 18, Aaron, so a chance of sorts there. Be a good way to do it. And a nice note to finish on. And so would this up and down for Patterson.
Well, the thing there with currently 5 players tied at the lead, that would put him in the clubhouse first, so we would put him in the final group.
To think maybe just a little bit of break, and you'd have to bet on it being off that hill, but that's just part of the reason why these greens are so hard to read. This over on a little bit of a slightly flatter plateau.
So funny watching a lefty putt right hand low, and not the purest of strokes on that one. Swift too. He didn't give it much, and it's enough to have to sit.
No, I don't think either of those lads would be too happy with their attempts there.
I gave Aaron a tap in. This is a little bit more than a tap in for his birdie.
Maybe on the Saturday afternoon comp, maybe not the Saturday morning. I don't think you'd be giving him this putt in match play, unless you're pretty generous. But it is an important putt, because 3-putting the last, not the kind of taste you want to leave in your mouth when you're in contention going into a final round. You want to finish on that positive note.
Well, he's holed out well today. He's got a lovely, soft, smooth, rhythmic stroke. And, as he has done all day, a lovely way to finish for Aaron Pike.
7 birdies, 2 bogeys for a round of 65, 5 under par. And nothing ventured, but a shot lost for Gareth Patterson on the last. So it's going to be a round of even par, 70, and those 2 finishing bogeys are going to be playing on his mind going into tomorrow.
So this for birdie. Oh, read beautifully.
And Ryan Chisnell factors himself in.
Well, he puts himself to 9 under par and joins Aaron Pike at the top of the leaderboard. Gee, that was a good putt, wasn't it?
You kind of get the feeling that he looks as though he kind of knew what that was for as well. Just the big exhale after. Big putt coming up for Rick Kulaks. Some chance to get to 8 under par. A truly congested leaderboard right now. Every shot counting. Beautifully done. A textbook way to play 17.
The third member of the group, to see whether we can have a trio of birdies. Here's Fraser Droop. This for a share of the lead.
Well, we asked the question as to whether or not it would keep coming down. I think this answers that question. We saw it zip off the back edge, so it continued to roll out, and about 5 feet left to get to 9 under par.
Gee, that was nonchalant, wasn't it? Just the steps in, putter behind it, whack, off we go. And no stress for Fraser Droop of a 5-footer. So very quickly, within a matter of about 3 minutes, the leaderboard went to 9 under, and 3 players are now tied there. And confirmation of those. The third, obviously, is Ryan Chisnell. He made birdie there on the 17th. But that's how things stand. And the final stages of round 3 of the Victorian PGA Championships. We're at the RACV Cape Schanck Resort. Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment.
Hi, I'm Damien Jordan.
Hi there, I'm Steve Jeffrey from Southport.
I'm Matt Griffin from Victoria Golf Club, and I hope you're enjoying
PGA TV.
I'm sending this next one.
Stop it! Look at the size of him too. How'd you do that?
Like, how do you get that distance out of that body?
When you hit a pure shot, the TaylorMade ball is going to react to what you do more than what a probie would. Probably told you about 1,000 times. You got to try the ball.
My favourite thing about golf that it's fun to play and I like to play with other people.
With my golf and what they're doing, you know, it's huge for junior golfers like Isaac.
On the tee, one of the stars of our My Golf program, Zoe Manton. She's got a fabulous swing, and at her age, I think we're going to see a star in the making. Yeah, great shot.
My advice to the My Golf kids would probably be always have fun. I think that's most important, because if you don't love something, you're not always going to be passionate about doing it. Just play and just have fun.
It's good to see so many junior players playing golf. I grew up kind of in rural Australia, and there wasn't this many junior golfers that I got to hang around with, so there's a lot of competition between you guys, which is great. Hi, mate.
Superb pictures of the RACV Cape Schenck Resort here at the Mornington Peninsula. What a magnificent day it's been, and I'm pleased to say that we've got another guest in the booth with us here right now, and nice to have you here, James Niddies. We saw you finish on the 9th hole, not the day you might have hoped for the tournament thus far, but you can give us some pretty good information on how things are playing out there.
The course is very, very gettable today. The wind was pretty calm, the front 9. It was a typical...
While you do that, there's your scorecard on screen.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, no, my front 9 was very colourful, as you can see there. I felt like every time I made a birdie, I followed it up with a bogey. So, but I didn't play great golf today and shot 2 under par. The wind's coming from another direction. I think we've had 3 different winds this week, yep. But it's not as chilly out there, and it's definitely a lot more pleasant. So I actually thought the scores would be maybe a little better, but obviously around Cape Schenck at the end of the day, the breeze always gets up. So yeah, not my greatest day, but you know, I birdied a couple of the last holes to make the curry at lunch taste a little bit better.
That's a nice way to put it. Just want to tell you all at home too, because we had Aaron Pike coming in on that last hole making birdie. In fact, that was a par, so instead of being 9 under par, he closed the day out at 8 under par, and we've got 2 Ali on top of the leaderboard, and Ryan Chisnell and Fraser Droop after their birdies on the 17th.
I think we can pretty safely say that it's going to be congested going into tomorrow yet again, and really, you know, I'd love to hear your feedback on this, James, as to whether or not, how far down the leaderboard should we be looking at the start of play tomorrow? Say that 9 under is leading, but how many shots can be made up on this kind of golf course?
If we get another day like we did today, easily 7, 8 unders can be shot. But, you know, unfortunately with the congested top of the leaderboard, there's one of those guys that are going to break free from the pack. So, you know, you're looking at maybe a 12 to 13 under win, depending on the day we had today.
Mm-hmm.
So you're probably out of it if you're at that 3 under, 4 under mark. So I would like to be within 5 if I was going into tomorrow. Maybe get out there early before the leaders and post a score.
Before the wind gets up as well. It was meant to die down today. I don't know if you looked at the forecast, but it was meant to be breezy early and then kind of fade off. But I don't think that's been the case.
Yeah, look, it's not too breezy out there. It's just hard to pick the direction of the wind. There's a couple of holes that are, you know, you'd throw some grass up and it'd be into, and then you'd be over the ball and it'd be down. So it's not the strength of the wind. It's trying to pick it as you're hitting your shot. So it's not, you know, it's just difficult trying to commit to a club or a distance.
A bit of a lacklustre effort there for Adam Burdett on the last, so plenty more golf left for him to play. I've seen a few people struggle with the pace of that 18th green. Is it slower than the others, or is it just kind of hard to get all the way back to that left corner?
I actually think it's a little slower. 18 and 9 in general feel like their 9's obviously fairly new, and 18's looks like it's got a lot more coverage than some of the other greens. So, but they're 2 beautiful holes to attack. You could see many different options. I mean, I hit driver in the greenside trap on the 18th hole, and I don't hit it that far. And I was lucky enough to play with Tim Hart, who pretty much smoothed the driver into the greenside trap on 9. So,
wow.
That decision making come tomorrow. If you're in contention, do you go for it on the 18th? Do you take driver? Because there's a bit of danger as well.
Yeah, for me today I was a bit fancy free and foot loose, so I was kind of going for everything. But it's not a nice wind on the 9th hole, and it's not a nice wind on 18 because it's kind of hard off the left and down. So if you kind of lose or not commit to your swing, you're going to lose it right.
And losing it right is a lost ball as well.
Exactly. And, you know, on the flip side, you can fall asleep on an iron and have a wedge in. So it depends where, you know, the couple guys 2 shots back playing the 18th hole, I think we'll see some drivers.
Put the foot down.
Yeah.
No, it's an exciting finish in that respect.
So a 67 for Ben Ford and level par 70 for Adam Burdett, but that final bogey, not the way he wanted to finish out his Saturday.
Yeah, he would have felt like he maybe dropped 2 to the field there, especially when you just want to get into the clubhouse and go home to get ready to come back tomorrow. It's tricky. There's a lot of holes because with the Trent Jones, how there's a lot of funneling pins out there. you often find yourself with a putt that could go both ways.
Yes, we've noticed a lot of that, and that you don't get a 6-foot putt that you can go, I'm just going to hit this firm and straight.
Yeah, and the surfaces are beautiful. So, you know, the pace isn't too quick on the greens, but yeah, if you put a bucket of water on most of the greens, there's a collection area, and that's usually where your ball finishes. So it's kind of like a snake or a skateboard half tube where unless you're perfectly on the 4 line, you could get a putt that could rocket left or rocket right.
You're from Newcastle, aren't you?
I am,
originally?
yes.
Yeah, so that was a very Newcastle bit of skateboard, bringing in your youth into that one, James.
I was actually born in Melbourne and, you know, packed my bags when I was about 3 and went to Newcastle. So
That's very independent for a 3-year-old.
Yeah, it was a little rough, but...
Yeah.
I think maybe Ryan Chisnell might have been a little worried about a ball that was flying overhead. We saw him duck down just a few moments ago. Maybe lost track of his playing partners.
I was lucky enough to play with Ryan at Fiji this year, and he also looked like he had a terrible cough, which he looks like he has today.
Maybe it's just a nervous cough.
Yeah, well, he played great, so I'm sure it helped him out a little bit. Be wary of a sick golfer.
He's in a great position now. Top of the leaderboard.
So this is also a difficult shot with the wind off the left and a wedge. You kind of want to land it left and a little past the hole, but then it spins back to that 4 line. So that's a great shot right there.
Wow. What a finish from Chisnell.
Showed me how non-difficult that is.
Welcome to the world of commentary. Usually you pump them up and they don't do exactly as you've said. You've done the opposite, so that's fantastic.
Well, I didn't currently know his yardage. He could have just had a perfect yardage, I think, right there. And that's smart because he laid up there.
Good appraisal. So a real chance to get to double digits coming up for the New Zealander.
I hate to put the commentator curse on him, but I think he can pick that one up.
And this no piece of cake either for Fraser Drew. A really awkward length bunker shot.
And that's the downside to hitting, you know, the driver or the wood off the tee. If you don't get it past that trap, you've got yourself a 45-metre bunker shot downwind, which you do not want to hit long.
Yeah, anything over the green at 18, you wouldn't see many pros in that position, but there'll be some amateurs that go over there as they come for their resort golf here at the RACV Cape Shank. Beautiful course, and once you get there, you may start looking down the drain for your ball as it finds the road over the back, because it's a very steep drop-off.
I think you could put it in your pocket. They're probably playing a Stableford comp.
Yeah,
so
go straight to the bar.
Yes. Also serve very nice lattes.
Rick Kulatz, I think, took driver off the tee. He's threaded it here, so this is a pretty a good opportunity to try and nip one close here, James.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good angle there, and if you can actually get a 3-wood down to there, there's a lot of slope left to right, so he's probably kept it away from that right bunker by just thinking, I'll move it from left to right and get it into the little collection area, and then yeah, it's a straight pitch up the green, so it's you know, you've got a bit of backstop on the side of the hill, and it sort of funnels down. But yeah, just committing, and with that green being a bit softer and slower, it's just committing to get that ball back to the pin there.
Well, and a good opportunity to pick up 2 birdies in the last 2 holes for Rick Kulatz. Played 17 almost perfectly.
What's your thoughts on, I've been fascinated with this course this week because we have to see so many of you take irons off the tee and be strategic. And of course, the world of golf talks about bombing drives everywhere and flipping wedges. But this is a golf course that's made you as pros have to really think your way around. And I would have thought as a viewer, that's a good thing to be able to watch.
I love it. Being able to play a golf course where not every hole is a driver off the tee.
Yep.
I'm not the longest off by any means, but the wind really protects it well. So the design of the course, it makes you think about iron a lot because there's a lot of easier layups, but it also gives you that option of being aggressive and having a 20-foot eagle putt, you know, if you execute a great driver or 3-wood off the tee. So a lot of collection areas there's actually a lot of areas where I was in the same divot every day on the 12th hole. So there's a couple collection areas, but no, it gives you a fair few options. So I think it's great with the technology, the way that it's sort of wrestled it down and being able to see multiple different styles of golf at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, I think that's a really great statement, your final one there, multiple styles of golf, because you bring in different skill sets, which makes it really enjoyable because of the contrast for viewers at home to watch. They can relate to that a little bit more.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating, and being a golfer that's played a lot in America, it's it's whoever hits it long and putts well. But I love coming home to Australia and being able to play golf courses that you can actually get it done on the ground, and it's not really easy to putt in Australia with you get a lot of wind and quick greens. It really makes you decide how to make a birdie from either laying up or driving it.
So Rick Coulat's here. Where's this going to go, James? A little bit from his left to right. This is to join the top of the leaderboard. Beautiful.
So you can tell there, it's Rick's actually a really good putter, and him creeping it in the front edge, you could tell is probably not as quick as he actually thought, because the 17th hole is a little sort of burnt out and quicker than the 18th hole, so that's where these guys are getting a little bit confused.
So this is an important par putt. Well done, Fraser Droop. Finishes with par out of that fairway bunker, and 2 under par. Finishes at 9 under.
He must be a young fellow, the way he stood up and just whacked that in the back of the hole.
We were watching him earlier today, and he just, he puts the putter down, just goes whack, and off he goes. So no nerves, no stress for Fraser Droop at this time.
It's a good style to have in the wind, just commit and hit it.
And what lies ahead for you, James? Of course, we're coming into summer, we're getting into the hot season for golf. We've got the Australian Open coming up, as well as the Australian PGA Championships at the RACV course at Royal Pines. So it's nice, as you just mentioned, to be playing at home.
Yes, I love playing in Australia. As I mentioned, I took a little 4-week break. I went and saw my girlfriend in America and got away from it and gave the brain a little break, because I knew I'd be playing seven events in the next 9 weeks. And like a lot of the competitors in the field this week, we go to Western Australia next week for an event, and then we play in Queensland. So I think it's WA Open and Queensland Open, and then it starts to heat up, and we have the New South Wales Open, Australian Open, and Australian PGA. And you want to peak right at the right time of those big events at the end of the year. It's great to play well in these events and create some form. But when it all comes down to it, they're the events all of us want to perform in. So that's what I'll be doing, like many of these boys, and yeah, I'm looking forward to warming up.
Well, don't go away, stay with us. This is how it's all finished here on day 3 of the Victorian PGA. Ryan Chisnell stands alone on top of the leaderboard at 10 under par after shooting 3 under 67 today, just a shot behind Fraser Droop and Rick Coulat. So we're going to take a break. We'll hear more from James Nitties on the other side.
Hi, I'm Peter Lunnard.
I'm Aaron Townsend. I'm Dave Branston. I'm from Sale Golf Club, and you're watching PGA TV.
Life can be mighty monotonous. Everything still so doggone humdrum, stuck in a rut, getting no.
We designed TwistFace to deliver straight distance to every golfer. But what we didn't count on was making every course marshal feel somewhat underutilized. Sorry, it's going to be a long season. TwistFace, only in the M3 and M4 drivers from TaylorMade.
Looking to reduce the cost of playing golf or need a handicap? The RACV Golf membership offers 5 free and 10 half-price rounds at our 5 golf courses valued at up to $748. Plus, discounts at many partner facilities including driving ranges. Set up and maintain your golf handicap, allowing you to play in official competitions. Submit all your social scorecards at the click of a button. And play in exclusive RACV Golf member events designed to meet the needs of all golfers, new and experienced. RACV members can also enjoy further discounts at RACV resorts, attraction tickets, and even the cinema. Join RACV Golf membership today and play more golf for less.
Well, what a day we've had down at the RACV Cape Schanck Resort here at the Mornington Peninsula. It's the southernmost tip of the peninsula, and we've had a glorious day. Scores have been good. The round is finished. I've got James Niddies alongside of me, and we were just discussing in that break, James, and looking at the leaderboard about who you might think would come through tomorrow, because there's a broad leaderboard in terms of youth and experience.
Yeah, as far as experience goes, there's one name that stands out to me, and it's Matty Miller. Him with an 8-iron or less in his hand, and the putter in his hand is quite deadly. So, but it's, you know, obviously it's anyone's game.
Well, what about the young New Zealander on the top of the leaderboard, 24 years of age, Ryan Chisnell? Now, you were saying he's got a great short game, which is important around this course.
Yeah, he shocked and awed me with some of the short game ability that he showed when I played with him in Fiji.
That wouldn't happen too often at this level, would it?
Yeah,
shock and awe.
You'd be surprised, but no, he's which helps. You know, if you got a great short game that can actually save you with a couple loose shots, it's a really good momentum builder that you could actually then go on to make a couple birdies. So, you know, Kulak's great. You know, great with the putter and hits it fairly straight. And I haven't played much with Fraser, but as far as how quick he's hitting his short putts, it shows that he's pretty confident and has that young mentality of, you know, let's go out and get it. And Aaron's coming off a pretty bad, you know, injury from last year, so he'll be hungry. And then Andrew, he's from Melbourne, so he's a little bit of a local.
Yeah, well,
so
he grew up playing a lot of his golf here in his junior days. Now, one player on that leaderboard, the last one there, is Ben Ford, and we talked about the greens here and how you can use a lot of the subtleties in terms of the slopes and breaks to help you. Take a look at what is the shot of the day on the 16th from Ben Ford.
Can't wait.
So here it is, the whole location. We talked about it being favourable, and take a look at where this one goes up the back of the slope.
Right off the backboard there.
And it just finds its way
surely not
into the bottom of the cup.
He used all of that hole, didn't he?
He certainly did, and you could see the celebration. He was took the caddy out on the way through. A nice way to bounce back too, because he double bogeyed 15, which we've talked a little bit about in the coverage today, and that ball went straight in the pocket going to the pool room. Yeah, double bogey on 15 to hole it out on the 16th for the shot of the day. Now, James, just quickly on the 15th hole, we talked about the difficulty of the tee shot there and how a tournament it could unravel for some players there. You can win it. You can't necessarily win it on that hole, but you could lose it.
Yeah, it's the toughest thing about that hole is the wind seems to always be off the left, and you would have seen there's not a nice cart path on the right side of that hole there, and then you just have pretty much out of bounds. So being that elevated with that much wind really makes, you know, a lot of guys are trying to squeeze it low off that tee.
So here we go, you can talk us through it. This is the flyover off the elevated tee, and a very high left-hand side there where we're coming into that sandy waste area, and there's the cart path you talk about.
Yeah, I'm sure you've mentioned it. It's 22 metres downhill off the tee. So, you know, then the fairway slopes left to right, so you're trying to get the ball on the ground as quick as possible, and then you come up short right or short left, and the ball rolls back 40 metres. So it's so difficult trying to hit an iron shot or a wood shot and keeping it low off an elevated tee, especially that much elevated. So, you know, you tend to get guys that won't release the club or squeeze it. So when you squeeze it, it creates more spin, gets up in the air, and it, you know, obviously moves 20 yards off the target of where you want it to. So, yeah, that's going to be pretty much the key hole coming down the stretch tomorrow. I think if guys can just get in the fairway, get it on the green and 2-putt and just, you know, go to the next, it's going to really help out the confidence.
How have you enjoyed coming down here to the RACV resort? Because first time the Victorian PGA has been here, and of course they're a great support of golf, the RACV club.
I love it. I mean, talk about a beautiful destination. This is the first time I've ever played at Cape Schanck, RACV resort, and beautiful clubhouse, obviously.
Yeah,
it looks like it's timeless.
Yeah.
Could probably take off. It looks like something from the future, but you know, they've looked after us perfectly here. Great with the players' lounge. We've had some, you know, beautiful meals in there. Yeah, just the whole setup for the week. It's a beautiful facility, and now we have perfect weather. So as a first timer, I'm enjoying it thoroughly.
Fantastic. Well, it's certainly a golfing destination down here in this part of the world. Some fabulous courses to come and play, and my first time here as well to be a part of this particular course, and it's certainly stood up very well. One man that isn't having as much difficulty as I would be if I were out there is the leader on top of the leaderboard, Ryan Chisnell, and Ali Whitaker has caught up with him.
I'm here with Ryan Chisnell, our current leader. Ryan, round of 67, pretty happy with that so far today?
Yeah, absolutely. It was pretty tough out there, and I was really struggling through 9. I wasn't feeling overly great, and I had a goal for the back 9 just to really empty the tank and kind of get as much as I could out of it. So yeah, I was extremely happy with it. Speaking
about emptying the tank, you've got a pretty solid cough on you. How are you actually feeling?
Not 100, that's for sure, but I'm okay. I mean, the cough's annoying, but in terms of the health, I feel okay. But yeah, it is what it is. But just got to keep on trucking along.
You've been playing a lot on the Charles Tour over in NZ this year. Can you talk to us a little bit about back over here and kind of balancing the two?
It's been pretty quiet. The Australasian Tour to start off the year was really nice. We had a good few events, and that kind of clashed well with the New Zealand stuff. But through the winter, it's been pretty quiet. So it was nice last week to have one of the Charles Tours back home to kind of get ready for this week and also for the rest of the summer. So yes, it is a good tour.
I like how you say just to get ready. I believe you finished runner-up, didn't you, last week?
Yeah, no, I did. It was a bit rusty, but yeah, it was effective.
So what did you learn, and what kind of momentum does that give you going into tomorrow?
I guess it's just, I mean, obviously the consistency's there. It's just got to keep on doing what I'm doing, and hopefully it all gels well.
Now, I'm going to ask you one more question before we head out, but what do you think the key is to playing this golf course well? Like, what secrets have you learned over the first?
I think you've got to keep it in play. If you keep it in play, it's short enough that you can give yourself enough birdie opportunities, and then you're limiting the damage. So I think that's pretty key, yeah.
Fair enough. Well, best of luck for tomorrow. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you very much.
Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Ali. James Neddy's alongside of me. You know, you become a broadcaster here this afternoon. Look at the body language of Ryan Chisnell. How do you think he's going to handle going in as a leader tomorrow?
Look, he's just fine. If anything, it might help him out that he's a little sick. You know, obviously you don't want to be physically sick and where you can't get out of bed in the morning, but I think that'll take the pressure off him, you know, and the expectations off him a little bit. So, as I said, last time I played with him was at Fiji, and he was sick and played great.
Played beautifully. Well, he goes into tomorrow as the leader with a one-shot lead over Rick Kulats, the young Fraser Droop from Yarrawonga on page 2. Some good rounds as well from Josh Younger today at 5 under. Round of the day, though, goes to the young Victorian amateur, Andre Lauti, after 78 on day 1, has shot 5 under day 2 and 7 under on day 3. So fabulous effort from him, and there's plenty more great efforts to come on day 4 tomorrow. We look forward to your company at the Victorian PGA Championships from the magnificent Cape Schanck Resort and the RACV Resort. Join us at 11 a.m. in local time here down at the Peninsula. It's been great having you with us today. We look forward to the final round tomorrow. Bye for now.